Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we got a very special video for you guys. Of course, we're getting towards the end of our video series here. Kind of give you guys a little bit of a look at what content we really enjoyed from this year, of course. But as we get towards the end of this, we're going to go all in and make a really, really long video, right? That's what we do on this channel. So, of course, with our channel impact, 23 videos continuing along, today we're going to take a look at two things that I kind of combined together. So, I do just want to say, it's going to be a bit of a long video, but this is just it's important to me. So, today, as we look at the channel impact, we're going to look at a new series that we started, which is the Racing Debrief. Plus, we're going to take a look at the Diecast review videos. Not something we really get to talk about much on the channel, but they're fun. They're really fun. I always enjoy that series a lot. So, today's video, we're going back and forth between both things. And let's jump right into it. So first of all, we're going to start with our first topic, which is the first episode of the Racing Debrief. Now, I've always liked the idea of discussing racing. I mean, that's something to me that's very important. Racing is pretty much my favorite thing. And anything with cars. I mean, if you've seen this channel, you'll know that. But watching NASCAR and watching F1 are my Sundays. That's what I do. And I felt like, let's talk about that, right? Let's talk about what we're seeing in these races and what we're seeing, just in general from these series, right? And every time that there's a race for either one, let's do a video recapping it. And we started pretty early in the year. I believe we were in March, so a few NASCAR races gone by. I believe it was the third F1 race of the season. It was the Australian Grand Prix, was what was the title of this video. I forgot what the NASCAR race was that week. Maybe, I don't know, whatever was in March that time. We can find out here real quick. But it was one of those things that I really wanted to talk about, talk about racing, right? Talk about what I'm into. And I felt like doing that. Oh, the stuff's gone. Guess once the events go by, guess they delete themselves from your calendar. Okay, well, never mind. We're not going to find out. But yeah, it is one of those things that I always like talking about racing. Do it all the time. Why not make a video on it? So every Monday, we put out a video. So starting with that wild Australian Grand Prix, we jumped into something new. Last year, did a little bit of a preview and a review. That was a bit much. For me, I definitely have videos recorded a little bit ahead of time. So that was something that just didn't work out. But the Racing Debrief was very fun. It's very cool. So let's jump into it and see what I was talking about with the Australian Grand Prix and whatever NASCAR race was happening. Welcome to today's video. Today, I'm super excited. We're starting a new series. We're calling this the Racing Debrief. Kind of just wanted to have a series on the channel where we just talk about racing topics. It's something that I really enjoy discussing, and I feel like there hasn't really been a place on this channel recently to just dive into that. So my plan for this series is every Monday we'll go into just different things. It, obviously will be recorded after the end of each race, or each race weekend, I should say. So we'll get a little bit of F1 and NASCAR topics in there. We'll also just talk about topics that I feel are interesting. So whether it's news that's coming out or potential changes, things like that, I just want to get in on different topics. So we're going to do that. So first of all, we're going to talk about the Australian Grand Prix and just how wild that was. So we'll jump into that. I was up at 1 a.m. chilling, watching the F1 race, and oh boy, was that a wild one to stay up for. Multiple red flags, chaos at the end. And let's kind of break down what we saw throughout that. The first part was the first red flag was lap 7 or 8 around there. Alex Albon went off into the gravel, threw it all onto the track. Parts of the car was there. There was some discussion of should that be a red flag? Should it just be a safety car? I feel that the time that they put it out, you know, it's one of those things that I feel the FIA needs to make a decision more on when they're going to put out a safety car or red flag. I feel that's their main issue. I don't think that situation was wrong to put out a red flag for. I think that, you don't want to lose laps in the race. You don't want to be in a scenario where cars are driving through there, they try to clean up the track. Okay, cars are coming through. Like, you don't have as much time. So just clean, get the cars off the track, give people time to clean parts of the car or the gravel. I think that made sense. The main issue with that is when they call it. All the cars drove through it once. Cars pit because drivers are going to pit after a safety car. It just makes sense. So you've seen George Russell go from the lead to 7th, and at that point you have to just say, okay, we're going to call the safety car now, and it's staying a safety car, or we're going to have the red flag. I feel like that change affects drivers' races. I think that's the main thing that's an issue with it is not. And I do think some of the things with the red flag, if you can change tires or not, whatever, that can be something you can discuss the advantage in it. But I think the main thing is, George Russell went from leading to 7th. Of course, ultimately for him, it didn't matter. He was going to win because his car said no. His engine burned up later. But, in general, had that not happened and he just got, a bad finish, had he only got up to 4th, right, in that race or whatever, I think that's something that needs to be addressed is how quickly they make the decision. I get if you say, okay, we're doing safety car, you assess it, red flag, but you have to make the decision before somebody comes in and pits. That's the main issue with that. So after that, we saw a, time where we had George Russell with his engine, but Max was just pulling away. And that was the main thing. He was just gone. He was up to 10 seconds. Once he got by Lewis on that second start, he was gone. We had the Lewis Alonso section where they were kind of get close to each other, pull away. And then we get to the second red flag. And that's where things got, really wild. The tire comes off the Haas for Kevin Magnussen, hits the wall, takes that tire off. And, you get that restart a few laps later, or, clean it up, then you get a restart. Okay, again, I think that is a situation where you decide, are you going to red flag? I don't know if I really think that was necessary. There's only a few laps to go. I think there was 4 laps in the race. It didn't feel necessary to me, because then everything that happened after that was just pure chaos. That was unnecessary. Watching both F1 and NASCAR, the way they run the rules are differently done. NASCAR is always trying to finish with a green flag, and there's really no way that they won't. Unless it's, stopped for rain. They'll always end the race on a green flag. They'll have as many chances to extend the race as we've seen in Circuit of the Americas last week. But F1's a set amount. It's unless they end the race early due to timing out or, intense rain, F1's races will always just end at the set laps. So there's not like an overtime scenario with F1. So if they want to go for as much chaos as possible, if they want to take that NASCAR route, which I don't think they should, but if they do, the red flag is what they choose. And at that point, I think, 4 laps, you just end it at that point. The Haas is out of the way. Somebody gets out there and cleans it up a little bit, and you're good. I don't think that race needed to continue. But it did. And after another red flag, we saw another restart. And, another grid start. Max pulled over, blocked Lewis. Good move there. get out to the lead. But what happened behind Max and Lewis, those two were gone. What happened behind them was wild. We had some of the cars in the back. I think it was Nick DeFries and Logan Sargent. They crashed in the back. And further up, you had Sainz making move on Alonso. That spun Alonso. That made everybody go all over the track. You had Gasly and Ocon hitting each other, so worked out great for Alpine to have both their cars crash out. But yeah, it was one of those things where it was another insane moment, and they decided instead of just ending the race at that point, which you should have, that was race 50, or that was lap 57. Just end the race, call it, it's over. Because at that point, they came in, and that was the race. They went through this whole process to figure out the order. Alonso got his spot back, but Sainz got a penalty, which Sainz's penalty was just absolutely one of the dumbest things I've seen. Sainz hit Alonso, and had the race continued, or had that been 4 laps earlier, okay, that's justified. But if you're going to say that didn't count, which is basically what they did, because they put all the drivers back to where they were before that incident happened, why did Sainz get a penalty? It doesn't make sense to me. Sainz got a penalty for something that basically the FIA said didn't happen. From the way they put the ordering. So everybody besides the Alpines got their spots back, because obviously the Alpines couldn't continue. So why did Sainz get a penalty for that? Again, I get him getting a penalty had that been lap 50, or had that been, again, from the beginning, or them going off of the premise of what we've seen in the British Grand Prix last year, but that was lap 1, That's basically saying the race didn't start with those cars crashing. This is the end of the race. We're going to the last lap. So it's either it happened or it didn't. So for Sainz to get a penalty, a 5-second penalty for something that didn't happen, and then start the race, and just for them to cross the line, because they went out on lap 58. It was 58 to 58. They went out, Max leading them around. When he crosses the line, the safety car pulls in, he crosses the line, but the race is over. So Sainz, who's in 4th, couldn't do anything. He can't try to pass Alonso. He can't try to build a gap to who's behind him. He can't do that. So basically, he's just in a position where he falls to 12th. And for Sainz, that's unfortunate. That's real lame to see. I think that was the most ridiculous part, on top of an absolutely ridiculous race. The funny thing was, throughout the week, seeing what happened with the NASCAR race at Circuit of the Americas, with their finish in, however many overtimes they had, 3 overtimes, going through turn 1, seeing all the comments of how ridiculous it was and how it looked to the world. F1 didn't really come out and show any better themselves with the FIA's fantastic decision making. Fortunately, it didn't affect the podium results. Those were what we were going to see had the race, continued. Max was way ahead. Lewis was keeping his spot, maintaining his tires. Alonso was basically doing the same. And when Alonso would push, Lewis would push. So their gap would just build. It didn't really change. You'd see Alonso get down to 1.1, 1.2. Lewis pushes back to 1.7. So there wasn't ever a moment where there was close to being a race there. So it's good to see those 3 drivers finish where they should have. But everything outside of that was just pure chaos. And similar to what we've seen in NASCAR at Circuit of the Americas last week, is just absolutely ridiculous. The driver who was supposed to win the Circuit of the Americas, who was the best driver, won, with Tyler Reddick winning. But again, similar situation, having to watch that. I'm up here. It was almost 4 a.m. when I went to bed, because I was just like, I watched it finish at like 3:30 by the time the podium part got done. I was like, okay, well, guess we're staying up now. But That's that. That's the Australian Grand Prix portion of the video. That was wild. That was I didn't expect. Like I have a whole topic actually planned for the episode in mind. I was like, okay, this is what I want to talk about. But this race is absolutely pure chaos. I was like, there's not going to be that much happening in, any races this weekend. I don't think. I mean, Australia has, shown to be wild, but last year Australia was so bad that not I don't even remember much about it. I was just like, Australia last year happened. So I was kind of expecting a similar thing. I thought, okay, Max will pull away, and we'll see the other drivers kind of fight for some positions, but it's not going to be that much of a race. The Mercedes, they'll probably be going for second and third, battle with Alonso, but that was what it seemed like it was going to be. So, I mean, part of that happened, but then all the chaos happened outside of that. So, the main thing, though, that I really want to actually dive into today is how I feel about the F1 cost cap. That's I feel a major thing that honestly kind of takes part of the enjoyment out of watching F1. For me, that's the thing that if there was one thing that I was like, okay, I don't really care to continue watching F1, and what would be the leader for that would be the cost cap. That for me is the worst addition that I've seen to Formula One since I started watching it. Formula One has this appeal to how the teams develop things and how they, engineer parts of cars and come up with these new crazy ideas. And when you limit them, you limit the top teams. You limit Mercedes. You limit Ferrari. You limit Red Bull that are at the top of innovative ideas. Is very, very lame to me. It's $135 million what the base is. I don't know if, what they added for adding in more races and more sprints and inflationary things they add, but I know 135 is what the basis is. It's probably to about 140, 145 with those extra things in there. But yeah, I don't really like it. I'd rather see those teams spend $500 million coming with something innovative and make these absolutely insane cars. Now, I'm not saying teams don't, because I mean, Red Bull's far ahead, but you also want to, you make this era where the cars are able to race closer. But if a team gets it wrong, Mercedes got it wrong last year. Ferrari's doing Ferrari things. Like, if you want to limit domination, which I don't think we should do in F1, I think that's, again, shows who can design something the best, Whether it's Ferrari in the early 2000s or Red Bull early 2010s and the Mercedes through most of 2010s. Like, why would you want to limit that team, restrict what they do? I don't think that the cost cap's cool. I think the cost cap's kind of dumb just to help some small team. Like, that's on them to try to get to the levels that these teams were, because every team had to build up at some point. I mean, no team showed up and just absolutely has their first year just pulled up. I mean, obviously the Braun team got the regulations right in one season, but they needed more money and they wouldn't have been able to sustain that. And you see with Mercedes when they dropped off in that period when they bought the team. But all these teams had to build up to where they are good. They had to build to be a top team. Red Bull didn't just show up and was a top team. They took a few years. Mercedes, once they bought Braun, took a few years to become a top team. So, these other teams that come in, I don't necessarily feel like just, we got to help them all be equal. Because if you want to watch equal racing in open wheel series, just go and watch IndyCar, which isn't as interesting. IndyCar is boring. It's not fun. I think it's whack. I've watched IndyCar for like part of a good amount of IndyCar races in whatever year that was, 2021, I think. It was not it. I couldn't get into it, and it just feels like store brand F1. So if you want to watch that, where cars are equal and where there's no innovation, go watch IndyCar. Um, there's rumors of doing things that can help smaller teams improve infrastructure outside of the cost cap. Why? There are certain things that you can do outside the cost cap already, but to do more, just get rid of the cost cap, dude. I'm done. The cost cap's ridiculous to me. And then on top of that, we have the sprint changes they want to make because it's boring, apparently. So the thing is that sprint racing, people don't really care for it. I mean, in my opinion, the sprints are all right. I mean, I'll take a few sprints a year. I think that what is there, 6 this year? I mean, I'd be interested to see how 6 works out. It does seem like you're pushing the numbers up a little bit. Three was interesting. 6 sprints in a 23 race season. Then you want to make the sprints become their own things because you want to get rid of more practice. I don't think limiting practice is a good idea either. I think that reducing it a little bit, I think when they had 90 minutes and 3 sessions was a bit wild. I think 3 60-minute sessions is good. Even 2 60-minute sessions, that's 2 hours. The teams know what they got. They're efficient enough to get things done in 2 sessions. But I don't really have an issue with that. I mean, I haven't really watched practice this year, but other years I did watch at least a practice session. I would watch a Friday session. But to do one session, so this is the plan. They're potentially trying this out soon. Is one practice session, a qualifying on Friday. That would set the starting order for the race on Sunday. Then doing a qualifying session on Saturday for a sprint race that would be later on Saturday, and then doing the actual race on Sunday, right? The thing, in my opinion, with that is why. Why do you need two qualifying sessions? Qualifying is cool to watch, but I'm not here thinking we need more qualifying sessions or we need to make the sprints their own standalone race. I think that the sprint being a race that leads into, qualifying, or leads into the race on Sunday, a sprint race that's kind of qualifying. They didn't really want to call it a race. They want to call it sprint qualifying, but the pole winners from the regular timed qualifying, whatever. I don't necessarily think, though, that the sprint needs to be its own standalone thing. I think that do a few sprints a year if you want, but just to cut more practice. I mean, look at what happens with NASCAR racing when we cut practice. I feel like since NASCAR's cut down on practice and qualifying since 2020, that was their COVID strategy, was cutting out that, right? Which, I mean, I don't really know how I felt about that. I think that in one season, in 2020, in the extreme cases of that, reduce the spread of COVID, right? Because the way that NASCAR runs things is different than F1. F1, you have your car. And if you break your car, the team rebuilds that car. NASCAR, if you break your car, you have a backup car, which then you have to set up and, take parts from one car to the other one, but kind of build a second car, right? So it does take more people in that sense of we have to prepare a second car at the track. F1, it's the same people around each other, so you're not bringing in different people. So I get that part in 2020, right? I don't really think they needed to completely just get rid of practice and qualifying, but they did. So when it went into you know, COVID restrictions lifting and going back to normal things, NASCAR didn't really bring back practice. They had like 15 minutes. And you see it in a race where, you don't have it still. We had that got rained out, right? It got rained out at Richmond. And as you reduce it, more issues pop up in the race. Ricky Stenhouse had an issue with some line in his car. It might have been fuel line or something, some sort of thing like that. That ruined his whole race. He had a solid race, solid car, but they didn't have practice to figure that out. Now it says it's different because it got rained out, but if you limit that and you have an issue with a car, you can figure it out. F1, you have an issue with a gearbox, you have an issue with some electrical component of the engine. You run it for more time, you do 3 hours of practice, you can figure out that issue. So that won't affect your race on Sunday. Or if you're having more things to be exciting, the way the weekend setup is fine. Even if you changed it, I don't have an issue with doing a qualifying and a sprint here or there, but to add more and make sprints their own standalone, like I just don't see the point. I don't. That's my take. So we discussed a little bit of NASCAR things in that. So let's jump into a few NASCAR things. There's not as much to touch on. F1 was really the main focus of this episode, but NASCAR this weekend we had the Xfinity race at Richmond. I don't really have much to say on that, honestly. The truck race, absolutely wild wreck on the front straight. I don't even know what to comment on that. Led to a lengthy red flag just to see the way those cars got hit, see the guys get out and just sit there on the track. Those were some hard hits, for sure. And I don't even know what else to say about it, but that was just absolutely insane. Carson Hocevar wins the truck race. A little bit of a incident with the top three trucks all take each other out. He took the blame for, Nick Sanchez losing the truck, but I don't think it's on Hocevar. Sanchez, slid up the track, came back on the grass, and Hocevar was there and bumped him. But, you're sideways out of control. I don't really think that's on the person behind you if you're sliding on the track way slower. The main thing, though, for the truck race for me, Hailie Deegan getting sixth place. She almost got fifth. Very, very close. Had the caution came out a few seconds later. She potentially could have. But I think the thing is that people, want to criticize her and her driving. I don't think she does a bad job. I think a lot of it's the position that she's in. I feel like the trucks don't suit her. You see a lot of drivers do jump from ARCA to Xfinity, especially you see with the Toyota drivers. Ty Gibbs did that. Sammy Smith did that. They would jump from ARCA right to Xfinity. The trucks, it's good to have. It's a good place to go. Some drivers maybe stay there, don't, move up. Crafton has done that for a while. Ben Rhodes is doing that now, chilling there in that series, and it works. Certain drivers that's a good place to be. And it's also a solid development spot, but it's not really necessary in your development up to NASCAR. If you go in the Xfinity Series and then perform well, go to the Cup Series. That's the thing. And I think that Hailie Deegan needs to go to the Xfinity Series. And I think it's been a thing for a while. I was disappointed that she didn't get to go there this year. I think that if they want her and if Ford wants her to do well, I think that she has to go to Xfinity in the next year. She has to race that next season. And I feel like it's just a waste of time having her run in the trucks. 3 years now in the trucks. I don't think she's a bad driver. I think she just needs to be in a spot that she can actually race in a car that suits her. Because she did well in her first Xfinity race. She got, I think, 13th in her first ever race in that series. I think she'd be way more competitive in that. You put her in a spot, get a Stewart Haas car. I'm sure Ford can do something to get that to expand if they needed to. They could do something, because I think that you're in a spot where Ford's development line doesn't have much. They're not in a good spot when it comes to filling spots of Ford drivers. You look at what's going to happen with Stewart-Haas, with Kevin Harvick retiring. Who's going to take that spot? I don't think Ford has a driver ready, and I think that had Haley Deegan been in a spot, where she did a year of Xfinity and say this was her second year in Xfinity instead of a third year in trucks, maybe she'd been a spot to move up to that spot. But Riley Herbst isn't ready. Cole Custer's proved that he's not Cup material. You have Zane Smith, but I don't think the front row is going to just be willing to give him up to Stewart-Haas. So I don't think they have a good spot. I think the Stewart-Haas as a team is going to have to fill that spot from trying to get somebody else. But they tried to get Kyle Larson. Ford blocked that. They tried to get Kyle Busch. That didn't work out. And what if Eric Almirola does retire? 2 spots? It's going to be difficult. The final thing is Richmond. Richmond for the Cup Series. I thought that was a good race. Richmond has been a track that I haven't looked forward to in a few years. It's definitely been a big yikes to watch 400 laps of Richmond. But I'd say this race was solid. I think that the low downforce package, the lower spoiler, the less diffuser strakes, I think that those things helped make Richmond a good race. I think that it was definitely solid. You've seen the Joe Gibbs Toyotas and the Hendrick Chevys. Those are battling at the front. It's cool to see 2 different manufacturers going at it, 2 teams going at it. It was really between those cars. And, Kyle Larson winning, that was cool. See him get a first win finally after first win this season, I should say, after finally getting one to go right for him. Las Vegas, he was in a good spot. He should have won that. Caution came out. Phoenix, he was in a good spot. I think Harvick should have won Phoenix, but just me. But, he was in a good spot in Phoenix. He was right there. It was between him, Harvick, and Byron, and the 2 drivers that probably should have won that didn't. So, again, good to see him get a win in Richmond. And, just that was exciting to see. As for other drivers, Josh Berry getting second. That was cool. Josh Berry, obviously an Xfinity driver, filling in for Chase Elliott. That was just good. It was cool to see him up there at the end. Get a good run for some of these drivers that, don't even race in that series. Come in, get a good spot. And I think that he'll be a driver that teams will look at trying to get going forward. I know, obviously, he'll be a driver that if Dale Jr. did get to move up to make a Cup team, that definitely behind that list. But I think other teams will try to get him before Dale Jr. gets the opportunity to make a team. And then Ty Gibbs getting 9th. That was also very cool. See him get 3 top 10s in a row. He's definitely starting to understand the Cup car. Of course, he jumped into it later than everybody else in the field. He drove a Cup car basically from Pocono to now. Pocono last year, he came in when Kurt Busch got a concussion. So he's done a decent amount of racing, but now that he's finally got his own spot. Because that was really, you're filling in a lot of things going around. You're just here basically to complete the race, get this car around the track. He's in a spot where this is his team, and I think that's definitely helped him. And 3 top 10s in a row, very good to see. Hopefully he'll continue, get a few top 5s, and maybe contend for a win this year. That'd be quite cool to see. But either way, that's the racing debrief this week. I'll be back next week. Of course, there's a topic I want to talk about. We'll discuss that and obviously give a breakdown after the Bristol Dirt race next week. So, no F1 for a few weeks until the Azerbaijan Grand Prix on the 30th. So, we'll still have some F1 topics, but next week will probably be more leaning towards NASCAR content. But yeah, either way, thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys in the next. So, I found out that was Richmond. I also found out this video went out in April 3rd. All right. So it was April, not March. Don't know why I thought that. Either way, the next part of this we're going to jump into is actually our diecast review. And that is going to be the Ty Gibbs Race Win Supra, Sports Clip Supra from Atlanta the previous year in 2022. Now this car is special because, I mean, the damage on it's crazy. On the side, the burnout, wear on the tire looks really, really cool. It's an awesome looking diecast. I like the race diecast. A little bit of damage on them sort of shows you, hey, this car raced. It's very cool to sort of see that representation of what the car looked like after the race, compared to just, this is the paint scheme, which a lot of them are. But the thing about it that was special in that was the video where it kind of just announced, like, I know who I'm rooting for next year, right? It was one of those things that throughout the year, I never really knew, like, what driver, when Kevin Harvick does eventually retire, will I root for? There was a lot of drivers that I liked in the Xfinity Series throughout the year that moved to Cup that I just really didn't have an interest once they got there, right? It was like, especially, okay, cool, they're racing, it could be trucks. They're racing in trucks, they're racing in Xfinity Series, and I really like rooting for this driver. But there wasn't ever a driver that I was really just like, I can't wait to see them race today, right? Like, you have that with a driver, like, I'm really excited to see this driver race and see my favorite driver on track today. And I didn't necessarily feel that for another series, right? Another driver that I was like, oh, I can't wait to see what they do on the track, how things go, right? Like, that's the excitement. How well is your driver going to perform today? So, obviously, I mean, I always was looking forward to that, the Cup race, to see what Kevin Harvick would do. What was going to happen? Was he going to win the race? Was his car going to be complete shit today? Let's find out. Typically, it was on the positive side of that until Stewart Haas fell off, but we'll gloss over that. Typically, it was a positive thing, right? Okay, let's see how we can do points, whatever, playoffs, all that stuff. But I never really felt that in the other series. I was like, oh man, I can't wait to see this driver race on the Saturday race or this Friday race. In those levels, again, I liked rooting for the drivers, but I wasn't like super into it. I mean, but for some reason, it just felt different rooting for Ty Gibbs in Xfinity last year, in 2022. A lot of people didn't like him, and I was used to rooting for drivers that weren't always the fan favorites. But it kind of just fit. And it was like, okay, he won that championship in Xfinity. I was very excited about that. That was really, really cool. But I was like, okay, how's it going to translate to Cup? And when I was watching the Cup race, there was a part that was like, okay, let's see where he is in the race. And the excitement or disappointment from results was there. It was one of those things that I was like, this feels similar to rooting for Kevin Harvick or Tony Stewart when I was younger, right? Like, it felt like rooting for those drivers. So that's when I knew, I'm like, that's going to be my pick for next year. So in that video, I announced Ty Gibbs as my driver for 2024 and kind of just like discussed that and broke that down. It was an interesting moment. But yeah, that's that. So let's jump into the diecast review. Hello, and welcome to today's video. Today we are here, and it's time for another diecast review. These are always very fun. So when we get a new car in, just, cool to take a look at what we got. So today we have, I believe, the newest car we have on the channel, and the newest car, like year-wise, the newest car that we featured. So I think the one before, we had a 2019 car, and we haven't had one newer until now. This is the car we'll be looking at. 2022 Atlanta race win. This is Ty Gibbs' Sport Clips car. Now there is, how many of these? 696. So there's not too many of them. Now you can buy these still on the Lionel website, but I get this one on eBay. It's actually a little cheaper. The person was selling it for $40 plus shipping, so it ended up being $50, which is still cheaper than the Lionel sites. That's why I grabbed it on eBay instead. But yeah, pretty cool. There's not really much to the box, honestly. It's kind of basic. So let's just get into the car. I've been excited for this one. This is a good one. Alright, so let's see. Customer service information, that's great. This is the little card that comes with it. The Nally Cars 250 winner. Ty Gibbs got the picture there. Very, very cool. And the back of it has some stats. So, 2 hours, 36 minutes. Ty Gibbs started fourth. There was 172 laps. 10 cautions for 56 laps. And Ty Gibbs led 1 lap, which was the last lap. And what's always cool, they feature with the race win cars is a win sticker, just so the drivers get to put on their actual car. So I got a few of these. I got some from the Kevin Harvick wins, but this is the first Xfinity Series winner sticker. So the car itself, let's take off this and let's see what we got. Now, I don't believe a lot of the stuff. Actually, the hood should open. Yeah, look at that. Hood opens. That's brilliant. This thing looks so cool. Of course, you get the front. A little damage to go with the race win. I'm sure that's from pushing somebody. A little bit of contact at the side. A lot of tire damage here, for sure. A lot of the letters worn off. It's really cool when you get a race win that has either a lot of scuff marks, or if you get ones that have a lot of confetti. I don't have any with confetti at the moment, but those ones also seem pretty cool. I ordered the Kyle Larson Richmond race win from this season for my mom, and that one's covered in confetti. She really likes the confetti in the car, so that's why I grabbed that one for her. So that will come in eventually. Hopefully it gets produced. Yeah, just look at the side of it. I mean, even the tires, it had a little bit of stuff on it. It's hard to see with it being on this base, but there is a little bit of. Oh, you can see it down there on the bottom. A little bit of stuff from the burnout on those tires. You see a little bit of dirt all over it. Just this side, though. This is really, really cool. So when it's sitting on the shelf, you're going to be able to see this side. Just all the. Assuming this is probably rubber up here. I don't know what else it'd be, but this is all just all scrapes from going against other cars. Yeah, just the looks of this. I mean, this side's still pretty clean, but again, all worn out here. I love the red and the white, a little bit of the black on it. That also adds to the car. There's a decent amount of details to this one. Honestly, a lot of the newer cars seem to be a little lacking in maybe details, but this one seems to have it all. But I'm just excited to have this. Part of the reason I'm also excited is, well, again, it's the first one I've had for the Xfinity Series. It's the first Ty Gibbs 160 or 124, I should say. We only have one 164 as well. But I'm excited because in 2024, Ty Gibbs will be my favorite driver. Obviously I had to pick a different driver. Kevin Harvick announced he's retiring. So picking Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs was my favorite driver in 2024. I mean, I already got a Ty Gibbs hat. That's what I wear quite frequently in a lot of videos. So, yeah. Ty Gibbs will be my new favorite driver, so it's cool to have a Xfinity Series car from the season where he won championship. It's also, again, just really cool to have a newer car from this series. Because pretty much what I have is old Kevin Harvick ones from, I think 2006 is probably the newest that I have from the Xfinity Series. Of course, it was the Busch Series at that time, but that's the newest one I have from that series. So, to get a new one of those, we got a Haley Deegan truck from, I believe, what's it, 2021? That was a rookie year in trucks, so yeah, 2021. And the newest Cup car, Kevin Harvick, 2019. So, we'll get some new Cup cars, though. I got a few things on the way. But that's this. So what's on the way, or what I've ordered? Kevin Harvick Michigan race win from 2022. That's pretty much the only race. That's the only 2022 car. I get 2023. There's a special Kevin Harvick retirement one they made, which is all like special shiny colors. It's like all silver. That's ordered. North Wilkesboro special edition car for North Wilkesboro coming back. I don't really like to get the special edition racetrack cars typically, but North Wilkesboro is something that I really thought would be fun to have come back on the calendar. I've wanted to come back for a while, so that's gonna be fun. Kevin Harvick 29 Busch Light car for North Wilkesboro. That's ordered. And Ty Gibbs Interstate Batteries car. So that's what's been ordered. I don't really think there'll be many other ones from this season in this scale. Again, I did order the Kyle Larson one for my mom, but that's not going to be a video because it's for her. But yeah, I do have some other ones coming from eBay though, so we get some more diecast reviews. I love this one. This one's awesome. Oh, this is so cool. But I cannot wait for some of those other ones to come in. Kevin Harvick race win. That will be the first next gen car. Ty Gibbs Interstate Batteries. I love the Interstate Batteries car. I've always loved that car. Even from when I was little, when Bobby Labonte used to drive that. The 18 car back then. So anything with Interstate Batteries, that paint scheme, most of the years they've been awesome. They had a few weird Kyle Busch ones that were like white with green lines. Wasn't a big fan of those, but most of them that are green, awesome. But yeah, I love the Interstate Batteries cars, so getting that's going to be really, really cool. But yeah, this is awesome. Awesome! I'm so excited. Cannot wait to take this off this base and put it on my shelf. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know down below what you think of this car. And what you think of some of the other ones that I said I'm going to be getting. So, be more diecast reviews coming out throughout this year. So, all right, next we're going to jump to the racing debrief episode of the Chicago Street Race for NASCAR. Now, Chicago Street Race is very cool. It was an event that I definitely thought was exciting. One of the events that was higher on the list of excitement going into it this year. For me, probably North Wilkesboro was the one I was most looking forward to. But Chicago was definitely on the list. I was excited to see how they race on street courses. Of course, when you see with F1 and with IndyCar, they race on street courses multiple times a season. But NASCAR had never done it. Not only that, but NASCAR had a driver coming in who had never raced in NASCAR before, Shane Van Gisbergen, who went out and won the race. And the reason this video is on this list is just seeing the impact of that one video on the series of the Racing Debrief. The Racing Debrief is, good to go out and get a few views for you. It gets 20, 30, 40 views. But that broke out from the series and got, 320, 350, something like that. Now, in the scheme of YouTube, maybe that's not really cool, but in the scheme of doing videos on the channel, the shorts always do well, but a full-length 20-minute video, it doesn't always do that well, right? It's hit or miss. So, to see that video do as well as it did, and I know there's people watching it that were watching because he won the race, and it was just sort of cool to be like, the driver's never won the race, which is awesome to see, and it was so cool to see, somebody come into the sport and win like that. Hadn't happened almost like 50 years. It's only one of their first start. It was just a moment that was cool to see on track, and then to see viewer-wise and be like, these people are probably watching that, want to hear people talk about their favorite driver. It was just kind of special. It was cool. I definitely enjoyed that one. So let's jump into that and see what that was like. Hello and welcome to today's video. And oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about in today's episode of the Racing Debrief. First, I want to touch on last week not having an episode of the Racing Debrief. I had to work early the next day and had to kind of pick and choose what was the video to make. So we went with the race playlist. Just due to the time that the race ended, time recording all that, Unfortunately, the Racing Debrief got canceled last week. But we're here, and we picked a good week to return because we had two races to really talk about. I mean, there is Xfinity in there, but it was kind of just a few laps. But we had the Austrian Grand Prix, and we had the Chicago Street Races. So, let's do F1 first. So, basically throughout the weekend, of course, there was a sprint. So you had your weird jumbled up weekend, of course. I already made a short touching on Checo's performance and qualifying and how that was disappointing to continue to get track limits. But looking back at it, the whole weekend was just a mess with track limits. Not so much in the sprint. The sprint, we've seen a little bit of rain, or at least the track being wet, so we've seen some intermediates. And the sprint was definitely spiced up by the fact of drivers either staying out on intermediate tires or going to slick tires. There was definitely a mix in between of what we've seen in that. So that definitely spiced up the sprint. It was cool to kind of have that, a little bit in there to add to the sprints, because the sprints don't really add much to F1. I was definitely for the sprints in the beginning, but the more they've kind of existed, they kind of just seem like a pointless exercise of wasting time. Because it doesn't really add much. I mean, I watched the sprint and I'm like, cool, I guess. Again, it's kind of just a weird thing that exists. I mean, even the teams don't know what they're calling it. So, there's that. It's definitely a weird mix of what is this. So, God, what the hell, dude? Something's been bugging in my eye. God damn. So, the sprint's definitely something to sort of exist. They're there for whatever purpose. So they're very strange. Going to the actual race, it was more, Red Bull dominance, Max dominating. I'm not going to say I was against it or anything. Let me just show off my hat here. I'm not going to say I was against it. I definitely liked it. We did see a different driver lead that wasn't Max for the first time since Miami. Lap 49, so Max led 249 consecutive laps, which was wild. Charles Leclerc came in and got the lead for a few laps when Max was pitting. But outside of that, the main focus, the main talking point of this race was the track limits penalties. They were everywhere. It seemed like almost every single lap, the top of the screen was lighting up with penalty, black and white flag for somebody doing something. And it was just consistent throughout the whole weekend, or the whole race, I should say. Consistent throughout it. And after the race is over, Aston Martin protested and said, "You guys missed some." And oh boy, did they miss some. So, Ocon got a 30-second penalty. Sainz, Hamilton each got 10-second penalties. Logan Sargent got a penalty. Alex Albon got penalties. So there's a few other drivers I'm in there that I'm missing, but it kind of shuffled up the order. Top 3 drivers hit the same, though. So that was good to not touch the podium. I mean, if they deserved penalties, they would have got it. But fortunately, we didn't have any of that. Cause that's always annoying when they're switching up podiums after the celebration. All that. I think the main thing is that there has to be a balance of how late we're deciding penalties, really figuring out some of those penalties. Like, I don't think that we need to be jumbling up the top 10 that drastically. I feel like we have to get to a point where we can figure out penalties in the race. Something like a track limits penalty where you can't do anything to overcome it. Those seem a bit harsh to put out at that point. I don't think this is the right approach to it. I do think, though, that there are some issues with the Red Bull Ring that need to sort of be discussed, I guess, in that sense. First of all, in those corners, track limits are very, very hard to police going into turn 10. Especially turn 1 a little bit, but turn 10, very, very difficult to police. And it's something that you see it at that track. all the time. Drivers going wide, and I do it in the video game because I know I can get away with it in the game. Obviously, F1 they're gonna call it out more, but in the game, I definitely push it wide in that spot. You know you can. So I can only imagine the drivers wanting to do it in real life. So I get that and I see it. I think there needs to be, you can't just push the track limit further because they're just going to push that limit further. So I don't really know what the answer is, but I think something needs to be looked at for next season at that track. The other thing that I feel like has been discussed every year, nothing happens with, is the pit entry line area. I feel like, because we've seen it, I believe Charles Leclerc got the penalty in the sprint qualifying, or sprint shootout, whatever they called it. He got the penalty in that for blocking, but the line into the pits was where their car was coming. So I know whatever they talked about and discussed, everybody agreed, oh, this is great. But I just don't think that we should be having that. The slowing down to the pits shouldn't be the racing line. I feel like that's weird. I feel like there can be something adjusted with it some way. I don't know what, though, but I think that that's something that needs to be looked at for next season as well. So that was F1. Next F1 race is next week, the British Grand Prix. So looking forward to that. Red Bull trying to tie the record for most consecutive wins by a team, which is 11 by McLaren. So, now let's talk about some NASCAR racing. Talk about Chicago Street Course. And oh boy, is there a lot to go into. First of all, it was the first ever street race for NASCAR. Obviously, street racing is something that's raced in most of the other series of racing that take place. I mean, F1 has multiple street races: Monaco, Singapore, Azerbaijan, Saudi Arabia, Australia a little bit, Miami, not really, Las Vegas this year coming up. Like, there's a lot of tracks that F1 goes to that are street races, and you see it with IndyCar. They had Detroit earlier, a few weeks ago. You have Long Beach. There's Nashville. Then there's one in Florida, St. Petersburg. I think that's part of the streets. I know it's some like a runway, but I think part of it's on a street. But NASCAR never done a street race. Chicago got announced last year. They were obviously trying out on iRacing in 2020 in the Pro Invitational during COVID. There was a lot of racing that each week. They were doing that on Fox to kind of supplement there not being racing on Sundays. So we've seen that in that series. It's been an iRacing for a few years. They tested it out. And, it was definitely leaning towards this could be a reality, a street race in Chicago. Now, I know a lot of people have been against it. I didn't really have an opinion on it. I kind of wanted to be open-minded going into it. I thought it'd be cool. I have said I don't think they would do it again. Some of the backlash, I think that may change a little bit after today's race. But, yeah, I think that it's one of those things that when they announced it, it seemed wild, it seemed crazy. But seeing it in person, seeing it actually take place, I guess I should say. It wasn't live, whatever I'm saying. Seeing it take place on TV, seeing it as a reality, I guess what I'm saying, and not just in iRacing, was just special. I think it's the same thing as like North Wilkesboro a few weeks ago, right? North Wilkesboro was something that, obviously if you're an older fan, you're old enough, old enough in 1996 to remember it, or have seen it in person or live on TV. It was North Wilkesboro, but if you're younger, the only time you ever seen it was iRacing or replays. When you seen it on TV, it was just something special. And that was special for the All-Star race. And seeing Chicago is one of those things that we've seen on iRacing. It was cool, but seeing it actually on TV, this is a real thing taking place. It was just wild. I turned on qualifying yesterday. I had a little bit of time before I had to go to work. That I was able to watch it, and I was just like, this is crazy. Cup cars, Chicago. So, we had the Xfinity race, which had 26 laps. Cole Custer pretty much dominated. I think he led all the laps. It ended up raining. It rained on NASCAR's parade. And there was a lot of rain. So they canceled it last night, called it off. Or Saturday night, I should say. This would go on Monday. Saturday night, canceled it, called it off. Let's do it Sunday at 11. It was downpouring. There was flash flood warnings. I was checking Twitter. It was crazy. So they ended up calling it off, saying Cole Custer's the winner. Of course, they had drastic circumstances where they could say this is the winner because there was only 2 laps. I mean, what are you going to do? Have them parade laps and just call it or just say it's over? So to say it's over, I didn't know that was a rule. It is in the rule book, though, that you can, if a drastic situation takes place, they can say, we got to stop. And I think that a lot of it was they could push it to Monday. Monday was the last possible day. But is it worth pushing to Monday to get 2 laps to halfway? And they would have to pay Chicago more money. Not really worth it to do that for a race that's the second series. That's almost halfway through. Cole Custer wins. I'm fine with it. So, we go to the Cup race. Starts in the rain. Starts a little later. It's supposed to start at 6:30 Eastern time. I think it started it's supposed to start at 5:30 Eastern time. It started at about 6:30 Eastern time. So, a lot of cars going in the barrier. Turn 6 was wild. Noah Gragson hit the wall 4 times there. You had Denny Hamlin sliding off the track. Tyler Reddick hit the wall in that spot. Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, they all hit that similar spot. Denny Hamlin had a different spot. I don't know why I said Denny Hamlin. But I was just saying, in general, drivers that went off. The biggest pileup was going, I think it was out of 10 or 11, one of the last 2 turns. You had William Byron went into the barrier. Kevin Harvick was sliding, tried to avoid him. I think he would have saved it. He would have hit the wall, but Corey LaJoie just tagged him just a little bit. Sent him spinning around. We had the whole track blocked up. So, it was overall wild. It was getting dark. Of course, the laps were slower in the rain. But again, the first half of it dominated by Christopher Bell and Tyler Reddick. They were gone. It was those 2. You did have Shane Van Gisbergen. Is that how I'm saying his name right? I'm going to go with that. Hopefully I'm saying it correctly. I know on the broadcast they were struggling. They were saying SVG every time. But he was also in there. Of course, racing for the Project 91 team. Or Trackhouse Project 91. Their 3rd entry. It was cool to see him up there competing well. I mean, he had a good qualifying lap. So, he was definitely a threat throughout the race. So, NASCAR decides later on, we're going to say the race ends at lap 75 instead of 100. Cut off 25 laps. It's getting dark. Sun's going down. They don't have lights. So, it benefited a lot of the drivers in the back of the field. You had... Well, that's how you got that pileup, because a lot of those guys were from the back of the field that got to the front. So Christopher Bell got in it, Kyle Larson, they got messed up. Both of those were doing good. Then Tyler Reddick crashes into the barrier. You get more cautions. Justin Haley, though, is leading. Of course, the colleague car you'd expect to be leading at a road course. And, Justin Haley could get his spot in the playoffs. You got Austin Dillon right behind. He's not going to do anything dumb, is he? Oh, he hit the wall. So of course, you got Chase Elliott back there, who NBC specifically, I don't want to typically talk about the broadcast themselves. I feel overall, Fox has dropped off, obviously. I'm not on the train of Fox is the worst thing ever. I do think Fox has fallen off from where they used to be, obviously. I think that's clear. So I think NBC's sort of taking the spot as the better broadcast. A lot of their graphics are better. The announcers are better. Pretty much what Fox has going forward is Mike Joy. Let's put it that way. So the one criticism, though, that's a really big glaring one for me for NBC is their obsession with Chase Elliott. It's insane. I feel like Fox doesn't really hype up Chase Elliott specifically. NBC loves this man. It is crazy how much they are hyping up Chase Elliott. They were begging for him to win. But Shane Van Gisbergen comes through and passes Chase Elliott. Passes Justin Haley. Bubba Wallace puts Ricky Stenhouse on the wall. the barrier. I don't know what happened. Bubba blocked up, did something. Overtime. But at that point, it was over. Shane Van Gisbergen pulls through, gets the win. First driver since 1963 to win on debut in the Cup Series. Oh boy, that was a moment to watch. That was so excited to see him make those passes. Get to the front. I mean, we got to see another Red Bull driver win. That's cool. Of course, Red Bull winning the whole day. Brilliant to see. But yeah, it was man, it was so cool to see something special. The first ever NASCAR street race, the first, winner on debut in 60 years. A driver who's never raced in NASCAR. Of course, the V8 supercars in Australia are close to the next gen Cup car, so it wasn't as big of a gap. Goddamn. Should have probably drank some water before this video. It wasn't as big of a gap as we've seen maybe in previous generations of cars. I mean, the last car would have been a little bit more of a learning curve. I think this one here is a lot closer to the V8 supercars in the fact of, again, how you shift it, how the steering is in it. Again, they obviously have similar weight. Again, downforce is different, and the fact of what side of the car you're driving on is different. But, I mean, outside of that, the cars are as close as they've ever been. And to see him get that win, it was it was a special moment. It was definitely cool to see. Yeah, I don't even know how to put into words what that was like to witness. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. So, just a historic moment. Chicago, I'm sold on it. I'm sold on NASCAR doing street races. Give me more. Give me 2 or 3. Like, I'm for road courses. I've been saying it, for a while. I've been saying it years on the channel and our videos. Give me more road courses. Give me more road courses. I'm for it. Give me 10 road courses in a season. I'm happy with that. Road courses are brilliant. Give me 10. We're at 6. Give me 2 more street races. Give me Portland. Give me Road America. We're good. Give me all of them. Give me all the road courses. Give me all the street races. Chicago was brilliant. I loved it. I hope to come back next year. I think this race sold a bunch of people in the city, hopefully in the government there. Got some new fans. I think it's a success. I'd like to see the full distance, maybe not have the rain, affect some of that experience for the people there. Because the experience of going to a NASCAR race is awesome. So, if you get to go as a new fan, hopefully next year those people can either get to go again, or people that didn't get to go to it can say, oh, I want to go to it from Chicago. I loved it. Give me more. I'll take it. Next week, though, we have Atlanta. See what happens. It'll be a completely different type of racing. We go from a street course to a super speedway type track. Atlanta's a weird one. So, what a day of racing. That was brilliant. I hope you guys enjoyed, because I had to let me know down below what you thought of the races from today. And we'll see you guys in the
next up, we have another Diecast review. And this is Kevin Harvick's Michigan win car from 2022. It's one of his 2 wins from 2022. And his close to his final race win. He only won 1 more race after that, which was the week after. Which now, looking back, I kind of wish I bought the Richmond Diecast, especially with it being $200 now. So I probably won't be getting that one. But, that Michigan car is one of those things that I didn't think Richmond would be his last win. So, I guess that was a mistake by me, but I definitely thought he was going to win, at least in 2023. But I guess looking back at it and seeing the excitement from those races, knowing now that he was kind of like discussing retiring at the middle point of last season, it kind of makes sense why you see the excitement winning those 2 races that were at that time. But the thing about the Michigan car was it was his first win with the next gen car. He hadn't won since Bristol in 2020. So it was like a year and a half. It was a very exciting win. And I was like, I'm going to buy a 124. Now, I hadn't bought a 124 car really that was in, that was new, right? I bought some before that were older cars, but I hadn't just went out and bought myself one that was, that size, that scale. Now, the reason I'm saying this, even though we already talked about the Ty Gibbs one, was I'd ordered the Kevin Harvick one when it happened. The Ty Gibbs one I ended up buying later on. So that's kind of why I'm saying that now. So getting that car was really cool. I like the designs of the beer cans on the deck lid. They added that little detail in from all the crew there, having their bush light, putting cans on the back of it. It was just cool they added that little detail in. But overall, just having that car, I mean, it's cool. I had it out on our table when we were watching the final race in Phoenix. I had that out there on the table as one of the 3 cars. So, yeah, it was a cool moment and special car. So let's take a look at the review of that. Welcome to today's video. Today we are here and it's time for another Diecast review. And today we got a good one. Of course, you see right here, Kevin Harvick, Bushline Apple, Michigan win. Ooh, I'm excited. So, I just opened the box, but I didn't actually, open the car. So, I've not opened it, not looked at it. I kind of want to do that on video. So, here we go. So, it's very, very cool how it's packaged. Big fan. Get this little piece of plastic in here. It's kind of weird to take out of the box. I mean, there's not the most room to get it out, but there we go. It comes in this interesting packaging. I definitely like the old packaging better. That's for sure. When the cards actually came in a proper box. So, here we go. We got this. This is how it looks. So it's got this little sleeve here that goes over it that says race winner 2022 season. It's got the next gen logo on it. It says race version. So they ended up producing 1,248. This is the Michigan win. That was so cool. Kevin Harvick hadn't won since, what was it, Darlington or Bristol, one of those two. Darlington. He hadn't won since, so it was almost. It had been almost a year, close to a year. Big moment for sure. No, it had been over a year because he didn't win one in 2021. That's right. So yeah, that's why I got the car, because it was his first win in a while, and it was so cool. Handcrafted in China. Look at that. Look at that. Wow. Handcrafted in China. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm just trying to open it without trying to figure out how this thing opens, I guess is the real question. Hello? There we go. We got it to open. Alright, so of course you get the win sticker, so cool that that they have these included. There's just some informational stuff. And then this is the picture that goes with it. Fire Keepers Casino 400 winner, August 7th, 2022. And the back of it has all the stats. So, 2 hours, 54 minutes. Start position 16th, total laps 200, number of cautions 7 for 36 laps. Led by winner 15 and margin of victory 2.9 seconds. That was awesome. That was an awesome race. So let's look at this car. I love it. I love it. So this is the first next gen car that I have. That is a 124. So there's no confetti on it for a race win, but again, you see the dirt kind of on the little bit on the Busch Light Apple logo. Of course, the tires have their little things written on them that they get on them, of course. Roof flaps do open, so that's cool. The hood will also open. Look at that. There's not much really to see in the next gen hood, but pretty cool nonetheless. Very light for the fact that it's how much these cars cost these days. But oh, they also have on the back of the car, they added a little design like the crushed cans from the team putting all their cans in the back of the car. So that's a cool little detail. You can see on the spoiler there's some dirt buildup as well. Man, this thing's very, very cool. I love it. I cannot wait to take it off this base and put it into my shelf of cars and yeah, just really take a look at this thing. I cannot wait to do that. But this thing, super, super cool. Busch Light, Michigan win. Just an awesome diecast to have. Again, Kevin Harvick's first of 2 wins in 2022. The second one came 1 week later at Richmond. So I didn't get the Richmond car. I just got this one as the first sort of win in a while. Hopefully we'll get a Kevin Harvick race win this season, final season. But yeah, just so cool. So there's that. Of course, we do have more cars that I've purchased that should be here in a few months. I don't think we'll have a diecast review for a while unless I find something that I really want. But there should be some coming later in the year of the 124s. They should all be from this season. This is the only 2022 car I got. We got the Ty Gibbs 54 Interstate Batteries car that I ordered. I think I got a Kevin Harvick. Did I get a Kevin Harvick one? Well, I did. I got the special, like retirement car, but I'm thinking outside of that. I don't think so. Oh, I got the Kyle Larson North Wilkesboro race win. I ordered that. Yeah. So there's a few. But this thing is so cool. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know down below what you think of it. Of course, race wins that don't have confetti. It's not as cool. But I haven't really got a race win that's covered in confetti. That's the thing. I got... Actually, I think I got the Texas race win one that I may have. That's got a decent amount of confetti. But yeah, most of the race ones I got don't have much confetti. The Ty Gibbs race win from Atlanta last year, no confetti. This Michigan race win, no confetti. The Kevin Harvick New Hampshire race wins don't have much confetti, so Yeah, hopefully the Kyle Larson North Wilkesboro one gets produced and has confetti. Oh, let's see what number we got. 176. Okay. Nice. Either way, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys in the next. All right. Next up is a special video. Now, this is the longest part of it. This is like 50 minutes right here. And this gives the racing debrief portion from going to the New Hampshire race weekend. And it was one of those things that I hadn't been to a NASCAR race since 2013 when I went. Juanita's dad had worked at Fastenal at the time, and we got to go part of the hospitality part for Fastenal to New Hampshire. So that was the last time I'd been, right? It was a long time. A lot of things had changed in the sport. And the main thing, of course, was Kevin Harvick's last season, and the last opportunity I'd have to see him race. So that was the reason for going, and it was one of those things that I believe it was probably April or May, and I was driving home from work, and I was just like, I want to go to New Hampshire and see that race. So I came home, brought it up, and we ended up getting tickets. So it was a special weekend. I hadn't been on a trip anywhere on vacation since 2015, I think. So that was fun. But just the overall experience of going and seeing a race that ended up being on a Monday. So that was kind of weird. Fortunately, my parents had taken off Monday, and I was already scheduled off Monday from work. Or, no, I think I might have taken off Monday. I don't know. Whatever. Oh, I would always, for work lots of times, I was taking off like a Saturday or a Monday just to kind of get 2 days off because I was at Sunday off. Especially in the summer, I wanted to have like at least one where they're like, hey, I got 2 days. So I'd already taken that Monday off. Fortunately, my parents had Monday off because they're like, we want to have a day between the race and, going to work. So they took a day off. Turned out they had to go to work right after going to the race, coming back home. But, this is just the video giving a breakdown of that. So hope you guys enjoy. Hello and welcome to today's video. Today, we're joined by Inchon, who is very happy today. Isn't he? So today, we're going to talk about, some racing. Of course, this episode is the racing debrief, but it's a little bit different. The racing debrief this week is not necessarily about just what we've seen on track, but the whole weekend in general. Isn't that right? Yep. He knows. So, I went to the NASCAR weekend in New Hampshire, and oh boy, was it a fun one. So, I hadn't been to a NASCAR race since 2013 at New Hampshire. So this is the fourth Cup race I've been to. I went in fall 2008, and then I think it was one of the ones 2009, whatever one Joe Logano won. I don't remember if that was summer or fall, probably summer. I went summer 2013 and now summer 2023. So I'd been to a few other races at New Hampshire. I know in 2007 I went to, it was Busch Series, now Xfinity Series, and Truck Series racing there, but I did not go to Cup. So I'd seen all different series, but again, I hadn't been in 10 years, and it was, of course, announced Kevin Harvick's last season. So I was like, I got to see him race. My favorite driver in NASCAR all time. I had to go see him race one last time. And, there's only one opportunity to go to New Hampshire. So we got the tickets and went. So I owe my parents, because they hadn't been since 2013 either. So we went on Friday. We drove up. We got a hotel, little resort, Crutched Mountain Resort is what it's called. Very nice place. Unfortunately, it's actually closing in I think August 1st. So that's unfortunate. But it's a very cool place. It had a it's kind of weird. It's got like a golf course, which is its own thing, and like a tavern restaurant, which is its own thing, and then you got the hotel, which is its thing. So the tavern restaurant, absolutely awesome. We had a few meals there. Golf course looked amazing. I wanted to play it. I definitely want to get into playing golf. I think it'd be kind of cool. And yeah, that course looked really really cool. But yeah, so there was that, and just kind of a chill Friday. So didn't really do much besides drive there. Did get to go to the pool. That was fun. I hadn't been swimming since I think 2015 when I last went on a vacation. So it had been a while, but yeah, it was awesome. And then we went to the Xfinity race on Saturday. So the Xfinity race was really when we got to do all the stuff, because the Cup race ended up getting rained out on Monday. So we'll get into that. Or it rained out on Sunday and postponed till Monday. So we get to the race. Took an hour to drive there from our hotel. And the hotel was kind of in the middle of nowhere. So we were just driving on like dirt roads, back roads, whatever. On the way there, we did stop, get some water. We had a bunch of bottled water that my mom had brought, but we needed more, especially for the Cup race. It was very hot, both days. The Xfinity race day felt hotter, even though the temperature was hotter on Monday. The Xfinity race super super hot. So there was that. But yeah, we stopped and got some water. We went to stopped at a Lowe's there. Might as well use my employee discount. So got a little cheaper. Got some earplugs as well. And yeah, we got to the track, parked, and we walked around a little bit. Got to see all this cool stuff that was there. There was the Toyota setup, so you got to see that. They had some of the cars, cutouts of all the Toyota drivers. Then we got to go to the 75th anniversary section. I don't know what they call it, fan, whatever. They had a bunch of like New England race cars, so I'm assuming that at each track they probably change it to be like local drivers from that area. But it was really, really cool seeing the 75, the NASCAR 3-color line logo part. Seeing the trophy for the Cup Series, that trophy's amazing. I had seen the Sprint Cup back again 2009, 2013. They had a big sprint setup back then. But, to see the Bill France Cup right there, that thing's awesome. I thought it was cool since it came out in 2018, 2017, when it became the Monster Energy Cup Series. So seeing it then, seeing it now, it's really cool to see the designs of the tracks and everything on it. Awesome sports trophy. So seeing that up close is really, really cool. But they didn't really have much other stuff set up. There's kind of just like a healthcare setup thing. There was a little bit of food, some rides you could go on, but definitely not as much as they used to have. But it didn't. I feel like it was lacking in that sense. So yeah, my mom especially doesn't do well with the heat, so for her, very hot. So we got her a cooling towel at the Toyota setup. They were selling them. So we got one of those. Just get it wet, put it around your neck. So we did that a few times throughout the day for her. There happened to be like a Hendrick setup kind of thing outside the track that you could buy stuff at. And yeah, we went in there and she got a different hat and a different shirt. So I bought her a hat for the race weekend. I got her Kyle Larson hat that said Cup Series champion on the front of it. I think it had like a 5 and Hendrick on the side of it. So the thing was, it was a camo, so it was kind of darker hat. So it was one of those things that she wanted something lighter. So there was a white and blue hat that just said 2021 Cup Series champion in the front of it. So she got that because it was cooler to have a white hat. The thing was, I had this hat, which was very hot, so I switched to her camo hat. And then she also got a lighter shirt for Sunday, which ended up being Monday. So she had a lighter shirt for that just because, again, it was very hot for her. So we did all that. And then we went back to the car. We had a little bit of food. And it was like, okay, let's go in. So we went in and we wanted to look at a bunch of, the items to buy. So I ended up getting a few things. I bought this hat. I got a Ty Gibbs hat. Very cool. Interstate Batteries Racing on the front of it. Let's see, what else did I buy? Bought some items from my car. I didn't get to put them on my car yet because my brother has my car because his cars are broken. But he's the one that we need to have watch the cats while we were away. So I don't have my car back yet. But once I do get it back, I'll be putting these stickers on it. Got a Ty Gibbs sticker. Of course, Kevin Harvick sticker. So that's cool. And then I wanted a license plate holder because I kind of have some shitty one that's falling apart from... Oh, there was like a car show that we went to back. I don't remember if we went to the 2018 or 2019 one. We went to both, but I don't remember which one it was. There was a BMW license plate thing they gave away. It just had a bunch of different colors on it, which was really, really cool. My mom had one in her car, and then I had one on my car. So she ended up getting one that said NASCAR 75th anniversary on it back beginning of the year. I didn't get one, but I did get this. So this is going to look super, super cool on there. So yeah, once I get my car back, we'll throw that on there. What else did I get? Oh, I know what I got. I bought this hat. I think this thing's really, really cool. Super awesome. And I also bought a Ty Gibbs shirt on Monday because I thought about it. I was like, I'll get the shirt. But I don't have that here to show because it's drying. It's hanging up in the bathroom drying. So, that's what I got. We had some other things. What did my mom get? Oh, we got some pins. That's right. We got some pins. We had this that says Cran 301 on it. And we each got one of these. So we bought 3 of those. So my dad got one to put on his hat because he had just like one of those circle hats with like the little mesh on the top. I don't know what they're called, but they really keep the sun off your head pretty well. So he just had a basic one. Basically, my dad isn't into NASCAR as much as I am, or my mom is. So we kind of messed with him the whole time saying he didn't want to go and all that. But he did get a few NASCAR things. That was one thing, so he put the pin on it. So for the race on Monday, he had the pin on the hat. We also got the program car. Got that. Bought that for my mom. I don't think what else we got. So we got my dad got a shirt that said Trackhouse on the front, had Ross Chastain on the back, because that's kind of the driver he's picked to root for. Again, he said that he doesn't really care nearly as much as when he used to root for Jeff Gordon back in the day. But, he's got a Ross Chastain shirt, Trackhouse in the front, Ross Chastain on the back of it. That's cool. I don't think he bought anything else besides. Oh, he did get a Dale Earnhardt hat. It was like the Wrangler 3 car, and it said "One Tough Customer" on like a little patch. That's at the NASCAR Classics trailer, which we did also get something. You got my brother this because he wanted like a '90s shirt, so it's a Dale Earnhardt Daytona 500 champion shirt. It's got a pretty cool design on the back of it. And since he watched the Cats, I bought him this Kyle Busch 3 Chi car with a little weed leaf on the hood and the side of it. So, yeah, there was that. I don't think there was much else that we got. Oh, we got my grandma the same shirt because we figured she'd like that one. My mom did get a Sheldon Creed shirt. Oh, and they got a, like, 90s, so like 1990 New Hampshire and with a 90s look to it. She got one of those. I'm trying to think, is there anything else that we grabbed? Well, they had like a little section that was like cheap items, basically their older items. So they had a 2021 race program car. They had a bunch of those there that said Foxwoods Casino 301. So that was cool. Obviously, Foxwoods is in Connecticut. So I've been to Foxwoods many times. It was kind of cool when Foxwoods sponsored it. So we got 2 of those cars. And I got a little metal figure from years ago. These are very cool. These are from, who knows when. 2003. So I have a bunch of these that I had years ago when I was little. I know I had the Kurt Busch one. I know I had another one, though. I don't know who else it was. Maybe Matt Kenseth? I don't know. But it's got the list of all the ones on the back. And, yeah. It's pretty cool. So when I seen this at the discount table, I was like, oh, I'll have that. So that was cool. I think that's pretty much all we got. Oh, we got some seat cushions. I wanted one at the end of the race. I was like, I need a seat cushion for the next race because those seats were very uncomfortable. The last thing I did get, my mom bought this for me. It's a diecast car. Now, I'm not going to show too much of it off because we're going to really take a look at this in a video next week. But, as a preview, it's a Ty Gibbs champion car. Yeah, this thing's awesome. So, again, I'll have a video on that next week. But, yeah. That was most of our shopping adventure. I don't think I forgot anything else from the list. So, the race on Saturday, the Xfinity race. The thing is, I can't really give a deep dive into the race because it's a little harder to follow at the track, I feel. Especially if you don't go all the time, you don't really know what you're watching for, like where to look, necessarily. You know what I mean? And it's hard to look at every single thing that's going on, especially when there's a lot going on, you're taking it in. Again, first time in 10 years really looking at everything. And I was also purely just enjoying the moment. And that's why I didn't make any videos throughout the weekend. That's why there is nothing from it. That's why this is the video talking about it. Because I wanted to be in the moment. I wanted to just be there and enjoy it. That's why the Diecast review of that will be recorded here. I thought, hey, maybe I'll do it at the hotel. I'm like, no. I'm not touching anything video related. And I didn't. There was nothing that I did video related besides put up the burnout from John Hunter Nemechek winning. That's all I did. Video related. Friday till Monday when I got home. When I got home, I put up the Martin Truex video. But that's it. That's all I did. I didn't look at stats of anything. Nothing. Didn't want to touch it. I just wanted to have a time where I was just like, no, We're focused on enjoying the vacation. Because I did that with the vacations when I was younger. I recorded everything. Especially 2013, 2014. I recorded so much. And especially in 2013, we went on vacation to Vermont. I recorded everything from it. There's 100, 200 videos. Just a whole playlist. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not... Obviously, I'd do it different than I did in 2013. But I was like, nothing is going out. I'm not vlogging it, I'm not recording it. And even when we went last time, in 2013, everything was recorded from it. There's a whole hour video. But, yeah, nothing from it at all. This is the video discussing it. So, yeah, the race in general, though, the Xfinity race had a lot of crashes, for sure. It was quite cool. For me, honestly, it was awesome to see the cars in the sunlight, see them out doing their thing, in just, perfect view, perfect color of it, better than you're going to get on TV with a camera. We had some good seats as well. We were in, I believe, section 11. So we were in turn 1 and 2, a little closer to the turn 1 side. We picked that so we get a little bit better view of the finish line, a little bit better view of the pits. You couldn't see much of the pits, maybe first few pit boxes, but you definitely see cars coming in. The thing is that the seats in turn 1 and 2, maybe a little cheaper than the front straight, but a lot of the action, a lot of the incidents do take place in turn 1, because you'll have a restart, you'll have whatever will take place. A lot of stuff happens at turn 1. So, good spot to be. Most of the crashes throughout both the races took place there. Race Xfinity race had a massive pileup on the front straight, which I wasn't necessarily watching because I was distracted by the truck backing up after the previous caution. I did see most of it take place, but yeah, that was just crazy to see the whole field pile up on the straight. And then at the end, you had Sheldon Creed and Cole Custer. I seen it happen. I did rewatch some of the videos after, but when it happened, it just looked like they were crashing at the start line. You can make whatever you want out of the video. If Custer took out Creed, make decisions on that. I don't necessarily have a thought on it, but that was definitely a good finish to the Xfinity race with them crashing. Josh Nemechek absolutely dominated that race, deserved to win it. So, after that, we left the track once the race was over, obviously. Filed out. And again, the crowd wasn't bad for Xfinity. It's kind of what you'd expect. Filed out. Everybody, did their thing. That's when we actually bought the seat cushion. Because I wanted one. My parents said, no, we're good. We don't need one. So that's when we bought the one that I wanted. Got the 90 shirt I was talking about. And yeah, that happened partially because it started to rain. So one thing was it was so hot, it was already getting kind of late. Now we did have tickets to go to the modified race because it was a doubleheader weekend. But again, we had to still an hour drive. It was already almost 6 o'clock. We still wanted to go buy some other stuff first. That's when we picked up some of those other items, like the car, a few other things like that. So it was already 6. The race would have ended about 7 or 8. So we would have got back to the hotel even later. Because we got back about 9:30. And I'll explain why we got back around 9 or 9:30, whatever it was. But first, we got out. It started to rain. You could feel some raindrops. We were watching a lot of the haulers. A lot of the Xfinity haulers were leaving pretty much right away. They were packed up and gone. So, got some cool videos of that. That was awesome to sort of look at and see them, come out of the tunnel. And then it started to rain, though. So, it did rain pretty hard. So, as we came up the hill, there was a merchandise hauler, the last one. That's where we went in and stood there. And that's when we ended up buying the seat cushion, again, that shirt. I don't remember if we bought the pins then or what. I don't remember. Whatever. There's a lot of stuff that we did and bought. But yeah, so we went underneath there. And yeah, it was pretty good. Just chill for a second. Walk back to the parking lot. Seen the rainbow, double rainbow. And actually the cool thing was you can see where the rainbow started and ended, which is not something necessarily was good to see. So I got a really cool picture because you can zoom out on the phones. A lot of them you can zoom out or in. So I zoomed out, got the whole thing. So that was cool. If you guys want to see some of these pictures, it is on my Instagram, which should be in the link down below. There's two posts. So yeah, there was that. Got back to the car. I don't remember if we ate that time. I know we ate earlier after, because we went down, looked at all the stuff, went back, ate, and then went on the track and looked at the stuff inside. So there's two trips that time to the car. So either way, we got out, left, and in Concord, which is not far away from the track. That's where we went to Lowe's earlier in the day, and we'd noticed, hey, there's a store here, there's a Panera, like, let's go eat something at Panera. So we went and got some food. And I was like, okay, let's go to a store, I don't know, whatever, it's Market Basket, never been to it. So it's kind of like a Stop and Shop before they made it trash, so like early, mid-2000s Stop and Shop. Went in there, got we needed meat, cheese, whatever. Because I was like, let's just make sandwiches again. Because my mom had made hard-boiled eggs so we can make egg salad at the track. So, obviously we had all the eggs. So, I was like, well, let's make sandwiches again. So, got ham, turkey, cheese, mayonnaise in the squeeze bottle so you don't have to scoop it out. Hey, look, there's a little mini squeeze bottle on here. Look at that, right there. Like one of those, basically. Yes, one of those. So that we don't have to scoop it out, and mess with it much in the car. You can squeeze it onto the bread. We got some bread. Got a few other things just to have for freezer item, because at this point it was looking like there's no race on Sunday. So we're preparing for there not to be a race Sunday, which obviously ended up happening. So we went and bought some stuff. Went back to the room about 9:30, whatever. Put everything away, and we were tired. Now, I got some serious sunburn the first day on my head. As you can see, got it up here, got it here, and a little bit on my face. That was because I wore my hat like this. Because if you guys see in most of the videos, I was wearing my hat backwards. This is how I exactly wore it. And you can just see right where the sunburn was. And you can see the side I had my sunglasses on. So right here, I was good. Everywhere else in my face, got sunburn. My arms weren't that bad. My arms got a little more sunburn on the second day. But yeah, it was kind of funny. So I just put a bunch of aloe on it. And it's definitely helped it for sure. Not be as bad. So fast forward to Sunday. And it's raining. Now, we discussed, obviously, our plan. Like, NASCAR announced the race is canceled or not. Like, when do we go? Fortunately, they made their announcement pretty early in the day. I'm thinking it was 11 or 12. They announced, hey, the race is canceled. We're going to the next day, which was a good call because there was really no opportunity to get the race in. I think throughout the day before it hit about 7, which of course they couldn't start the race at 7 because New Hampshire doesn't have lights. So I think before, you guys can see Inchon in the background. That's important to see him. I think before like 7, it stopped raining for maybe 15 minutes. So there would not have been a window to do anything. So obviously a good call. People were like, oh, it stopped raining, but there was not enough time to drive the track and race before it started raining again. So it pretty much rained from, 5 in the morning until 9 at night, basically the whole day. Had some form of rain, whether it was heavy rain or light rain. So we basically spent the whole time in the hotel. I kind of like just laid on the bed the whole day. Kind of sucked. There's nothing I could really do. So there was that. Yeah. We had to get another day at the hotel. That was the thing. So we'd planned for the trip being Friday to Sunday. Of course, we are going to come home after the race. Fortunately, I thought I had announced my brother, hey, if we need you to, can you take care of the cats Monday morning? And my parents had taken Monday off because they're like, oh, we just want to, be able to put stuff away, do whatever, before they do the work on Tuesday. Thing was, race is not going to happen. So where we were staying, we were able to get another day at the hotel. My parents just had to go and switch the keys out, basically. get one hotel key, switch for another one, because they couldn't add a day because the way my dad had ordered it, or he bought it on like some travel site and not directly through them, so it was different. I don't know. Either way, had to go in, switch the hotel keys, and we're good. You get another day. So that was nice. We didn't have to find another hotel. We didn't have to move rooms. It was just, here's another day. So, yeah, there was that. But yeah, we spent basically the whole day just kind of chilling. We went to eat at the tavern restaurant that I was talking about earlier. And then later on, there was like a jacuzzi hot tub kind of thing. So my dad and I went to that. It was kind of in a weird spot. Basically, the place was that I had 4 buildings. And it was kind of just like behind 2 buildings and not very far from the people's back decks. So you could kind of look around their hotel rooms and have the windows closed. It was kind of weird. But either way, it was just nice to sit there for, 10, 15 minutes to talk about whatever. Went back to the room, ate a little bit, heard some wild owl in the woods, and went to bed. So it was definitely a weird day. But yeah, so we got up Monday morning. We spent kind of that night. Oh, we also went to Dollar General that day to pick up an item or two. Which the other thing that was cool, I didn't mention, Friday, I went to Dollar General, the same one. And it was cool. I just went by myself. Driving in New Hampshire for the first time. I had basically driven in Connecticut and a little bit of Rhode Island, which felt like Connecticut. Because you don't really know the difference when you cross over because the towns are like weird. So unless you're going far into Rhode Island, it's areas that I've kind of just been around. So it wasn't different, right? You get, if that makes sense. But when you're in a completely different state, 3 hours from your house, or 2 hours from your house, that was fun. I really, really liked it. I wish I had my car on that road, I'm not going to lie. A little windy road, good straights, put it into shift mode, take off. Either way, went to that Dollar General, got a little bit of stuff, because I only had, basically I didn't bring anything frozen, because didn't know how long it took to get there, didn't want to have it in the cooler and on, thaw out. So I went there and got a few things for breakfast to have, because we were good for lunch. We had whatever my mom had brought and whatever we were going to do for Sunday. So we were good. So I just went and bought a few items. And then when we went back on Sunday, I got stuff just to have for breakfast on Monday. So either way, we went back and we took off. Again, we packed our stuff on, most of the stuff for what we needed. We either had packed and in the car or ready to go into the car. So, I got my bag ready to go. All I had to do was throw in my phone charger and my Apple Watch charger, and I was ready. So, threw a few things in the car. I think we left about 8:40. And coming back on Saturday night, we took a different route back. That's the thing. We didn't want to take all those windy dirt roads, especially at night when it was raining. But, again, going there Monday morning, we wanted to make sure we were good. We were ready. And didn't have to go on all the winding roads to get there. So, we took the other route. It kind of took us a little bit more on main roads and highways. Yeah, I don't really know why I guess Apple Maps just said, this is the fastest route. When we loaded up maps for Apple CarPlay, it literally said the dirt road path area was the fastest route. And it technically was, but you're also going on dirt roads. There was literally one where you had to turn, and if you didn't, it was just a straight drop onto another road. It was a massive drop. If you went too fast, you're getting air. It was a cool area to drive through, don't get me wrong, but you're trying to go to this event, it's not the route you necessarily want to take. So, we found this new route on that night back, pulled it up on the phone, went there, and we didn't hit much traffic. Getting the track, it was a little bit, But overall, it wasn't bad. And I mean, I felt like the crowd for Monday wasn't bad. It really kind of just felt the same as the crowds were on, races back in 2013. It didn't feel much different. So one part that I really did like, I enjoyed having more of the planning involved in it, because every trip that I've been on before this, it's kind of, all right, we're going. I kind of packed some bags and left. Right, this is my idea. I paid for part of it. I planned part of it. I had the tickets on my phone. Right, so I had a lot of that going on, and it was kind of cool. Definitely fun to be able to just do that. And if I want an item, say, oh, I want to buy that. Okay, I want this hat. Cool, I'm gonna buy it. It was definitely fun. But again, we got there Monday. We parked a little further away just because they closed the north entrance. Everybody's going in the same way, so they're just trying to fill up the first parking lot that they could. So we got in, parked, walked the whole way towards the track. You could have got a little tram thing, but we didn't really do it. We did do the tram on Saturday when it was very hot. My mom wasn't really feeling up for walking the whole way, which is, I knew it was hot because normally she's down to walk everywhere. She wants to walk everywhere. So she's like, I want to take the tram. I knew. I was like, okay, not feeling it today. So again, both the days we had plenty of Gatorade, plenty of water, ready to go. I drank so much that it hurt right here, just swallowing the rest of the day. On Saturday, I was like, ooh, I was eating. I was like, ooh, that does not feel good. This is how much we drank on Saturday. But we went, again, got in. There was not much going on. It was literally just going to the track because all the outside stuff was not set up. I don't know if it was just because of the weather. People had to pack up, go to the next race. People had to pack up and go home if they weren't going to every event. Who knows? But a lot of that stuff was closed. So there was one trailer down right before the entrance that had cooling towels. So we bought 2 more so my dad and I could each have one. Seat cushions so my mom and dad could have one. And then we looked at the line and it was like, that's ridiculous. Because we wanted to get there for driver intros, which were at 11:20. Get a text from the track saying, driver intros, 11:20. Unfortunately, when we got there, it was 11:20 when we got down to the track. So there was the entrance that was the main side entrance right near the entrance tunnel to the track. You'd ever been to New Hampshire, you know what I'm talking about. So my mom was like, let's go down to the other entrance, because we went into more of the main entrance of the track where the main road is. There were less people because everybody had to funnel in the same way. So we went to that entrance the previous day because the shuttle took us to that spot. So, same thing. We was just, let's go there because my mom's like, hey, this is less busy, which it definitely was. So, we pulled up, got in there, and got right in. Very easy. Scan the tickets, go in. We made it to driver intros for the last, I think, top 12 drivers, I think. But that was cool. Either way, seeing that. Then we kind of went up to our seats. So, sat there, first stage. And at the end of the first stage, I was like, hey, I want to go get the shirt. Because I thought about it. Again, let's go get it. So, Mom and I went down to the track. Because she wanted to look for some other items. I don't know, Ryan Priest or somebody. Yeah, it was Ryan Priest. Because she likes all the drivers from Connecticut. So, she wanted to find a Ryan Priest item, which they didn't really have much of. So then we went in line, and the Joe Gibbs / Toyota / 2311 trailer, whatever you want to call it. I just called it the Joe Gibbs Toyota trailer. A lot of the trailer, it's kind of interesting because it's the first time I've been to the race where they had all the trailers for items split up by just teams. Because before, you essentially had, most drivers had their own trailers. It was kind of like one walkway, and there was another section. So they had all the stuff. So they had, each driver had their own trailer. And then some of the drivers that were maybe not as popular drivers had one thing. And I think a lot of the, some of the teams maybe had their own trailers. I don't know. There was a lot back in the day. This time it was pretty much just each driver, same with their team, besides Chase Elliott, who had his own trailer. Either way. it was just interesting, going in and seeing that split up, because I know they went to like a tent setup that they brought to every track for a while, but everybody wanted the merchandise trailers back, so they brought it back in a smaller capacity, which made sense. I mean, you don't necessarily need every driver to have a trailer. So they do it by teams. You had Hendrick, you had Stuart Haas, you had some of the other Chevys. You had Legacy Motor Club with Junior Motorsports, which I believe Junior Motorsports was like really the only one that was just purely an Xfinity team that had their own like section of a trailer. Because most of the other ones are either also a Cup team or not big enough to have a trailer. So you had the Junior Motorsports one. You had the Penske trailer, the whole Toyota trailer, which was the 6 Toyota drivers, Joe Gibbs in 2311. I don't remember who else there was. Those are the ones I remember. Oh, you had the Trackhouse one. So, that's another thing we bought. We bought koozies. I bought a Ty Gibbs koozie, and then after the Xfinity race, my mom went and bought a Bubba Wallace one, and then we got a Dale Jr. Sundrop one that my dad wanted. So there was that, because the Sundrop car, very cool. The Sundrop items are cool. So he wanted something with the Sundrop logos on it. So that's what we got. What else was there? Yeah, so we waited in line at the track. I was surprised, because you always see online, Toyota bad, Joe Gibbs drivers bad, 2311 drivers bad. We don't like them. Yet, which trailer had the most people at it during the race? Yep, it was them. You guys guessed it. So we waited in line for a while, because I was like, we'll go to the end of stage 1. We'll be back in like 15 laps. We were back 40 laps later. Lap 130. Actually, it might have been longer, because the stage was 70. Either way, we missed part of stage 2. Nothing really happened. Got back to the seats, and I was like, let's just watch the rest of the race here. Watched, had a lot of drinks. Again, very hot. So, a lot of water, a lot of Gatorade. Those koozies got their use. Again, it was just a race dominated by Martin Truex. I mean, there's not really much to say. Martin Truex killed it the whole race. Kyle Busch in the beginning had his issues, crashing. Not a great weekend for Kyle Busch. He crashed in practice, crashed qualifying, crashed in the race. He probably wanted to leave New Hampshire. So, yeah, there was that. But outside of that, I mean, you didn't really have much happening. I believe it was the beginning of the final stage. Eric Almirola crashed. He had like it looked like, it was hard to tell from where we were sitting. A lot of people thought it was, somebody hit him. But I watched that back later, and he just had the loose wheel. So, he just had a loose wheel, came off, he crashed from the lead. So there was that. You had a little bit of strategy going on with pitting late into the green flag pit stops. So you had Kevin Harvick doing that. You had Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon led a bunch of laps. Kevin Harvick led a few. Came down towards the end. I don't know, Gregson crashed right in front of us. That was cool. And then the other side of the track, Christopher Bell crashed later. But yeah, you pretty much just had Martin Truex dominating. Kevin Harvick and Austin Dillon started in the front row, one of those restarts, and Truex was past them in the first corner, basically. He went in the corner, boom, right past him. A lot of Truex fans, of course. Truex pretty popular in New England. So a lot of people were cheering for him to make that pass. I was disappointed, but Kevin Harvick leading a few laps, seeing that, special. I was definitely in the spot the last 50 laps. I was just really, it was emotional. There's definitely just soaking in those last 50 laps and being like, this is the last time I'm going to see him race in person. All right. Which that was part of why we went. And I wanted to go to NASCAR race. I would go to races every week. Obviously, if you see this channel, how much I love watching racing. But knowing it'd be the last time I'd see him race in person, I just sat there and just kind of watched his car go around. You know, I didn't really pay attention to the drivers. It was just watch the 4 car, the whole lap, every lap. And, yeah, it was definitely emotional. You know, seeing that white flag come out, that last lap. And, you know, whatever the other cars were doing, it didn't matter. I was watching what he did. And, yeah, that was an interesting emotional laps there in the stands. But yeah, he was close. Kyle Larson was close as well. So that was cool having both of them at the front, seeing them there. But no, it was a match for Truex. Truex absolutely killed it. Finally got his win at New Hampshire. So, man, I got the sunburn though. Again, my hand a little bit. My arms not that bad. I put sunscreen on everything. That's the thing. I had it on everywhere. So it must have just, whatever wore off a little bit because I got it on my hand here both days. Looks like it's kind of gone away mostly. I don't think it was that bad. And again, I got home, put aloe on everything. So we'll take a look later. My face is pretty red. It's kind of going away here a little bit. It's still a little bit up top, but for the most part, it's not that bad. The spot that's real bad is on my leg. I don't know if I can get my leg on camera here. Right here. Whew. That spot. That's tough. I got a little bit on my knee on the side and just a slight bit on my ankles. But again, I put that, sunscreen on everything. So it must have been the spots that it wore off. Damn, that spot on my leg. Whew. That one actually hurts. Most of the times, I've had sunburn recently. Got it a few weeks ago. I think it was Father's Day. We went to eat at a restaurant outside. Got a little bit on my arms, but it kind of went away. The one from the race. The only spot that also hurt was up here. And I mean, right here when I moved, I feel a little bit. It's just eh. But outside of that movement on my face, right here, it's fine. But damn, that spot on my leg, dude. Oh, every time I move my leg, I feel it. So, fortunately, I don't have to work today, so I can put a bunch of aloe on it throughout the day and hopefully get it to not hurt. But after that, race was over, left the track, and walked back to the car, made our sandwiches. We were just so hungry, it didn't matter what it was. My mom was like, I don't care if it's turkey. She didn't really like turkey. She's like, I'll eat it, whatever. My parents didn't really like to eat meat that much anyways, but they're like, whatever. Cheese, whatever. Who cares? Just, we want to eat. We got some little flatbread, the little pizzas from Panera. Unfortunately, they didn't really stay that cold. So, there's one that they were able to eat and one we kind of throw away, which is unfortunate. But, we were there for hours in the parking lot. So, we sat there. So, first thing was just, let's eat, right? We're not going to get out of here and find somewhere else to sit and eat. Might as well just eat. So, we sat there, ate, whatever, waited an hour. Okay, let's leave. Cars lined up. Everybody's going for this entrance. So we pulled in and went really, 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 really far down. And we were kind of blocked in by some cars. So we couldn't do much. Just all right, well, we're sitting here. Fortunately, other people started to see there was another entrance, or another exit, that took you to the main road. Because basically, there's entrance down this way, and then way down at the end where we came in. So, people seen it, and everybody started going that way. Just a few cars, right? The whole row that we were in basically cleared out either into the line or going that way. There was one car behind us, because the car next to us, they were being dumbasses, couldn't tell. So we just waited for one car behind to leave. Once they did, the second they backed up, closed the doors, seatbelts on, back up. We're going through. Fortunately, in spots that were muddy, we got a Subaru Forester, so we can go over some of the little bit more muddier, bumpy spots that would not have been ideal with my car or my dad's car. But we had my mom's car right through it all, and we were out back onto the more main road and probably, whatever. It did take 2 hours in all from when the race ended to being on the road. But once we were on the road, down the highway, or, down one of the roads, down the highway, whatever route it took us, stopped at one rest stop for, quick go to the bathroom, get some drinks, and then drive all the way home. Took 2 hours, and we're back home. Got in, just unpacked everything, and I think I went to bed at like 12:30. No, my parents went to bed 10:30, 11, maybe something in there, 11:30, and we're back. We're back to what we're doing. This little guy right over here, Inchon, come here. Come here. Yeah. This little guy is so happy that I'm back home. My brother said that he was the most scared of all the cats when he was here. Now, my brother lived here for a while, so it's not like these cats had never seen him. I mean, Inchon liked him, but he just kind of forgot. And Inchon's gotten more scared. I don't really know why, but there's just a lot of things that scare him. But, yeah, so my brother said he was scared, and then kind of on, like, I think it was Saturday, he sent me a video saying that Inchon was a little more happy. But when I came home, Inchon didn't really realize that I was here. But I put a few bags down, and then there was one I went to walk down the stairs, and he was on his we got like a little cat scratching thing on the floor. He was on that. He seen me. He ran, jumped up on the couch, on the top railing to get pets, and then last night he was just rolling around in the bed, all happy to see me. So I was happy to be back and pet him. And can you not go on my box? So thank you, dude. Thank you. Of course, this was on the ground, so you wanted to lay on it. But yeah, that's that. That's the racing debrief. It's more like the weekend recap, but I felt like there's one place to talk about the weekend, one place to talk about the racing. It's the racing debrief. So, yeah, either way, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Next week, the racing debrief, we have Pocono, which may rain, and we have F1 in Hungary, return of Daniel Ricciardo. So, yeah, one quick little thing, touch on the rain. I hope it does not rain in Pocono. We've had Nashville moved up by the rain. Didn't actually rain. We had the race start adjusted. We had Chicago, Xfinity getting rained out, and the street race absolutely flooded with water for a while and shortened by rain. Atlanta, we had shortened by rain. New Hampshire, we had moved to Monday for rain. 4 races in a row, and the schedule's looking like, at least Friday and Saturday from what I've seen, Monday morning, looking like some rain in Pocono on 2 days. So hopefully that changes and we can avoid the rain like we did for the Xfinity race on Saturday. It was looking like it was going to be rain. Just ended up being cloudy and did not rain until that race was over. Did affect the modified race a little bit. We were leaving, the jet dryers were going. But then ended up getting that in once the track was dry. But hope it's going to rain in Pocono. Either way, thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you guys in the next up one. Is a diecast review that kind of correlates into that trip. And it's a diecast review of the Ty Gibbs Champion car from winning the Xfinity Series Championship with the logo. It said Xfinity Series Champion on the roof of it. And on our trip, we were all kind of just buying stuff, having fun. And we were at the Joe Gibbs Racing trailer. I guess more Toyota trailer because it's Joe Gibbs Racing and 2311 together. But we were at the trailer. I was just looking, what Ty Gibbs items do they have. Got a few things at the race from that weekend, including this hat. Got at the Stuart Haas trailer. But I was like, most of the cars I either have pre-ordered or, I go on the Lionel site and just pre-order most of the driver cars that I want. So, they were there, right? And I wasn't like, really starting to get a car, but I was just like, that one's cool. And my mom ended up buying it for me, and it was very special to get that car at the track. And that she bought that for me was just so nice and so cool, and I really appreciate that. So this is the video giving a review of that. Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we're here for something very cool. And to start off, of course, if you guys did not see the racing debrief last week, you might not know about this. But I went to New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the first time in 10 years, and the first NASCAR race I went to in 10 years. And got a very special diecast. So this one my mom bought for me. It's quite cool that she did. I always am buying different cars for her, different things. So it's very cool that she bought this one. Yeah, it's just special. She ended up buying a few different things throughout the weekend for everybody. So for her to get something special for me like that, very cool. So what is it? Well, it is this. If you guys didn't see that video, you might have not known this, but the 2022 NASCAR Xfinity Series champion, Ty Gibbs car. So, of course, we're going to look at the box here. First of all, let's just note the car that they've edited every logo off of that is Monster related. Because that is the actual picture from when he did the burnout. Just all the Monster logos off of it. It's very weird to me that Monster does this. You would feel like you'd want to get the recognition and, have your brand on stuff when the drivers do well. Race win cars. Tyler Reddick wins a race this year. Oh, we can't make it. Ty Gibbs wins the championship. Which company gets all the stuff? Interstate Batteries. I mean, this hat is one of the few Ty Gibbs hats you can get. There's Interstate Batteries on it. He runs Interstate Batteries, 5-6 race weekends. Most of the time he's got Monster. I'd say probably close to 20, 25 weekends he runs Monster. He has a few Interstate Batteries races and a few he gets us, races. Most of the time it is Monster. And you see right here, it's edited off his uniform as well. It's very strange that they do that. Either way, you see right here, there is 732 of these cars. And of course it came in the little cardboard box here. It's got the writing on the side so that way they know at the track what it is. But so the thing I want to say is that if you are just saying I want a diecast car, right? This is a hint for everybody out there who may be watching this collecting NASCAR diecast. If you go to a race, don't buy a shit ton of them, right? That's my hint for everybody. If you want a few diecasts, go ahead. I went to the race, I bought a diecast. Just don't buy a lot. This car here, which I got from my brother, online, $10. At the track, $14. This one, my mom bought for me. Makes it special at the track. It's cool. I would not buy another car this size at the track, though. Because this was $85. If you buy it online, it's like $60 or $65. It's way more money at the track. So, just keep that in mind if you're there. I've seen people with bags of diecast when I went to the track. I mean, do your thing. But if you want to save a little bit of money, you can probably buy all those same ones online. The only ones you really can't buy online are officially online. You can probably buy them on eBay. But those are the program cars. Those are the only ones you really can't just go on a website or Fanatics and buy. So, let's get into the car though. I've only opened it one time. Now, this will be going on my Diecast shelf. Keep that in mind. Alright, here we go. This is it. So, part of the reason why I wanted this one, I do have the 164 of this car. So, it's not like I don't have it. But one thing that I did, or not mistake that I made, I would say I made a mistake, but I didn't. Kevin Harvick won his championship in the Cup Series in 2014. And I got the little car. It's fantastic. I love it. The thing is that if I want to ever add that to my collection in this scale, it's very, very expensive. So it's like hundreds of dollars, $200, $300. This, $85. So I'll take it. I mean, the notes on this car, it really is just the basic car that Ty Gibbs raced with interstate batteries on it in the Xfinity Series in 2022. There's not really much different about it. You know, you got the Lightning, you got the 70 years of interstate batteries. You got little details on the back with the John 316 and the I am second right there. Says GR Super on the back, so that's cool. Does have all the wins, and you can see it up close with the races that he won, and then his round of 8 win at Martinsville and the championship at Phoenix. Little details on the sticker, but you can see the text on them. It does have the purple on the splitter and the spoiler for being in the playoffs, and of course the roof is the main thing. Xfinity Series champion. That's so cool. So again, I got the 164 of it, but this is actually the first championship car that I've gotten 124. Because I got a few different champion cars throughout the years. Kevin Harvick champion in the 164. We got Ty Gibbs Xfinity Series, Kyle Larson Cup Series, Sheldon Creed Truck Series. We should have William Byron Xfinity Series, and there should be a Chase Elliott Cup Series one around somewhere that I gave to my mom. So there's been a lot of these cars around, but again, this is the first one in this scale, and the fact that my mom bought it for me just adds a little bit more. Part of it being, that much more special. So, yeah. The hood should open, but doesn't want to. Roof flaps don't open. That is open, but it's 522. This is 522nd one. Man, this thing's awesome. I love this car. This thing is my favorite item that I got from the whole weekend in New Hampshire. And the other thing is I never got a 124 at racetrack. That's what's cool about it. Again, it was more expensive. I mentioned in the beginning of the video, but it's so cool. So cool. And again, this is like when you just go up and you see all of them sitting there. Oh, it's so awesome to see so many diecasts at the track. Each trailer has a bunch of them. I tried not to really look at them because honestly I would have bought a bunch of them. So I tried to not look at. Oh, it's also got a little detail. This says 1 because this is the spot where it says Championship 4, round of 8. It just says 1. So that's a unique little detail that I've never seen on these cars before. But yeah, there's a lot of the diecast there. It was so cool to just see all the drivers, all the cars. Again, I tried to not look at them, especially at the Kevin Harvick ones, because Kevin Harvick's got so many cool cars. And I have pretty much every Kevin Harvick car in, from 2022 in the 164 scale, right? I bought every one of them from last season. So, I didn't want to go in and just be like, well, let's buy them all now in 124. Because I bought a 164, and I buy most cars in 164. I try to just be like, okay, let's get these cars at the less price, right? That's the thing. I want to spend the least amount of money while also collecting as many cars as possible. So when I do get a 124, it's got to be one that I really, really want, which is what this is. Or what I plan on doing, I know a lot of people do it, buying the cars from the track or the race they won. I do plan on getting the Martin Truex race win car in this scale. So, yeah. Either way, thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in. We have another Diecast review, and this is the Kevin Harvick 29 Busch Light car from the North Wilkesboro All-Star Race. So, I remember that day the car got announced. I believe it was February or March. And this kind of actually ties into our Beyblade video from earlier when we did the Beyblade tournament, Who Built the Better Team. The review of that actually was the same day. I remember I knew there was going to be an announcement that day. And I remember I took one at home from doing that video. And seeing the announcement at 6 o'clock. So it was one of those things that when I seen it was announced, it was so cool to see the throwback to that Atlanta race car, the car that won in 2001, and to see the 29 car back on track and to have that be the throwback for the season. That was the main throwback. I mean, they had a throwback with the Sunny D looking car for Darlington, but that's the throwback everybody's going to remember when you think of Kevin Harvick's retirement season, and to get the diecast of that and to have it sit up on my shelf now, to just, to have that there to look at every day. Basically, when I wake up, see it there. It's so cool. And to review that was really, really awesome. So let's take a look at that. Hello and welcome to today's video. Today, oh boy, do we have something special for you guys. It's right here in this box. So let's get right to it. I've been waiting for this one. This is a diecast car that I've been waiting for. So there we go. This is gonna be good. Okay, we're almost there. It's always nice get to take their wrapping off, get to see the car for the first time. I've been waiting for this. It came in, and I was waiting obviously since I ordered it, but it came in, and I didn't have time to do this video before I went to work, so it's been sitting here in my room all day. Oh boy, here we go. Kevin Harvick, 29 car from North Wilkesboro All-Star Races here. They made 3,012. These sold out pretty quickly. So let's get in here and open it up. Okay. Ooh, we got some. Oh, we got something special in this packaging. Hold up. Hold up. Look at that. Forever Champion sticker. Oh, that's brilliant. That is brilliant. I love it. I wonder if that's going to come with all the Kevin Harvick cars for this year. I got a few more that I ordered. I think the Busch Light Peach is one of them. There may be one more that I ordered, but I remember the Busch Light Peach. Alright, here we go. It was so cool when this car got announced. The day it got announced, I definitely remember that. Because I was like, I got to buy that car. Bought the shirt, so I got the shirt that goes with it. Got the little 1/64 scale. look at that. Of course, the roof flaps open on it, but damn, this is going to look awesome in the shelf. I do have a second shelf now that I got kind of recently, so I can display more than 10. I can display 20 cars now. But look at that. Oh. So you got the lines on it, of course, just like the 29 car had when Kevin Harvick drove it in 2001. Of course, it's a throwback to the paint scheme that he won Atlanta with, which we do actually have the original diecast here. So you can see the similarities to these cars. Oh, that's brilliant. They really did a good job with it. So much of it is similar. I mean, I really like that he has a Realtree as a sponsor basically the whole time, so it's on the same spot. But yeah, just so cool to have both of them. With this car specifically, again, Busch Light kind of with their older logo, kind of like they had in the 2000s. So that's very, very cool on the hood. Of course, we have the 75th anniversary logo and the NASCAR Salutes logo on it. You got Mobile One, Gear Wrench, Hunt Brothers Pizza, Pristine Auctions, and Sunny D all on the car there. But it's just cool, again, seeing the 29 car come back for one race. I know this is one of the real special things for Kevin Harvick that he really wanted to do in his retirement year. So running the All-Star race. That adds to it. North Wilkesboro coming back as a track was something that a lot of people wanted. I definitely know that was something that I thought would be cool. North Wilkesboro was a track that I never seen raced until this year. They stopped racing it before I was born by just a few years. So there was never a race there in my lifetime. Never seen one for NASCAR. So that adds to it as well. Really just cool to have, of course, the Forever on there. And yeah, I love this car. This is one that has a real special for me. Again, if you guys follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen my profile picture is me next to a show car version of this from 2001. If you guys didn't remember or don't know, back in 2000s, there used to be NASCAR show cars. They'd bring them around, just set them up somewhere. This is like a gas station. And you could just go see the cars. They do it now, but it's not as common. It's more just like, we're going to put it at a grocery store where somebody's signing autographs. But they would just bring a car around. The driver didn't have to be there. But it is so frequently. I remember there was a lot of times they used to do that. And yeah, there's a picture of me in front of it, arms crossed. For some reason, I wasn't very happy that day. But that's always been a picture that's important. Actually, it's right there on my shelf. If there wasn't a bunch of stuff in the way I'd show you guys. But I've shown off that picture so many times. I did it actually in this car review for this one. But it's just always a special car, this paint scheme. Of course, Kevin Harvick's first win. So, again, very cool to have a throwback to it. I just love it. I love this car so much. I've been anticipating this one arriving. I don't think that there's a car that's going to have more importance of a diecast that I get this season. Man, I could be wrong. Maybe Kevin Harvick wins a championship this year. Or, maybe they'll do a special car for the last championship race. Or the last race, I should say. Maybe Phoenix will do like a Budweiser throwback to his championship or something. But there's something special about this car. Something special about it. Man, I can't believe it's here. I hope you guys enjoyed. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next up is the racing debrief video after Max Verstappen won his third world championship. at the Qatar Grand Prix weekend. Because he won in the sprint, don't forget that. Max Verstappen, my favorite F1 driver. I mean, got the flag here. We got the Red Bull Racing flag there. And I got the wearing a Max Verstappen hoodie. We got most of this water bottle. It's Max Verstappen themed. So, the third World Championship in a very dominant season has just been, cool to watch it unfold. And is one of those things that, it was cool to just discuss it and discuss that championship. So, championship number 3. Let's review it. And welcome to today's video. Today we're here for the racing debrief. And oh boy, do we have an interesting weekend of racing to talk about. But first, we got to get into some of the news topics, things that broke in the last week. So, starting off, we actually had to talk about last Sunday, Talladega. Kevin Harvick got disqualified after. We didn't get to talk about it on the racing debrief because I recorded that video basically in between the time of the end of the race and inspection being done in that probably 2-hour window. So, looking at that, they found that some of these screws in the window on the front were loosened. So, of course, that can benefit aerodynamically. So, that was a disqualification. Unfortunately, that was a great performance. In the moment, it was definitely a difficult race. Looking back on it, though, thinking how much worse that would have been had he won and then got disqualified. So I guess coming up short there was the better outcome. But, just overall, just added to the disappointment of that day, I guess. Looking next, though, we go to other news this week. Big news that Hailie Deegan's moving to the Xfinity Series. And I feel like that's honestly a good move for her. I know some people are like, oh, she didn't do anything in trucks, but I don't think that trucks is necessarily the best development spot. I mean, it can be. Some drivers can do great in trucks and then move up to Xfinity and do good, and some can move from Xfinity to Cup. But some drivers, the aerodynamics of the truck and the way that they are and the way you race in that series doesn't click, and it's not necessarily the best development series. Trucks wasn't built initially to be a development series. It kind of evolved into that. But I think something like the truck series, not all the drivers, click with it. Not all the drivers have it work out for them. I think for her, it's just something doesn't click with racing in the trucks. Whatever that is. I don't think she's a bad driver. I think that she just doesn't go well with the way they race. They're very much just hold it flat through the corners and go. And with the experience that she has, doing some dirt racing, that type of discipline, that's not necessarily the way that you race. You don't just hold the gas straight through a corner and go. So I think that Xfinity will be better for her. I mean, her one start in it, she finished, 13th? Solid debut. But you see a lot of drivers don't necessarily do a season of trucks or multiple. It's kind of just do Xfinity, do Cup, right? You can do trucks. A lot of drivers will go race it part-time, try to just learn a track a little bit. But lots of times drivers will skip trucks as, the stepping stone to the Cup Series. It really should just be Xfinity. That's the thing. You go to Xfinity and then you step up to Cup. That's the thing. I think that you look at drivers. I mean, recently, last year, Ty Gibbs had done a few Xfinity races the year before. Did really well. And he won his first start. The first driver in the modern era to win a race in any of the national series and debut in general. In all three. First top 3 national series start with a win in that time. So, you look at something like that. He didn't do that. He just went started in Xfinity, won that first race at Daytona Road Course 2021, went and won more races that year, did 2022 full-time Indy Cup. And you see a lot of drivers do that. They just jump to Xfinity, right? They'll do ARCA to Xfinity. You had drivers, a lot of drivers, recent champions that are, the younger drivers like Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson. They didn't do full season. They might have done some races in trucks, but they didn't do full seasons. It was just full season Xfinity, Indy Cup. And I think that that's the route you have to take. I think that's the better route, and for her, I think that will work out. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she does in 2024 in the Xfinity Series. The other news for racing this week, big news and something I'm excited for personally, for multiple reasons, is that the NASCAR gaming license has been bought from Motorsport Games by iRacing, and I'm looking forward to that, seeing what happens. Of course, iRacing was basically what evolved from the companies that used to make some of the old NASCAR games, in our 2003, something like that. Basically, they evolved into iRacing, and now they have the license for it, which the exclusive license is what took that away from them in 2003 when EA just took over and said, nah, we're doing it all. So, if they can get a racing game to bring it back for NASCAR to be on the level of those games, like NR 2003, like some of the EA games from 2004, 2005. I mean, I love NASCAR 2005, Chase for the Cup. That game, brilliant. I mean, we played it on the channel more recently, once I got an adapter from my GameCube. So, I've always loved playing those games. I love playing NASCAR games. And I want to be able to play that on this channel. I mean, this channel mainly is gaming content. Outside of the racing debrief and some of my racing discussions and things like that, showing off some diecast cars that I got or just a random video. Most of it's gaming content, right? We have some of our RC content that Wanye does on his part, but for the most part, besides the racing debrief and RC videos, it's gaming content. So, to have a playable game for my favorite sport would be pretty awesome. I would love to be able to play a NASCAR game on this channel. One and I doing a series of that would be brilliant. So, we'll see. 2025, hopefully, iRacing puts out a great product. I mean, they've done a good job with iRacing, obviously, being their main game. I mean, drivers use that to simulate for all different types of racing. Very serious sim racing. Basically, it's the closest you can get to actual racing without actually racing. So, I think that what they're going to put out is going to be good. I looked a little bit at their World of Outlaws game, just on my PlayStation yesterday. I was kind of just scrolling through, seeing what games there were, and I was like, oh yeah, that's the game they made. I mean, it looked pretty good. I didn't play it, obviously, but I looked through it, and some of the images and some of the stuff from it, what I've seen watching people's videos, I've heard it's a solid game. So I'm just looking forward to seeing what they do in 2025. That was big news. That was awesome. So let's get to racing from this weekend. And what series do you want to start with this time? Spin the magic wheel in my head. F1. All right. So F1. First of all, we'll start with the sprint weekend. So I didn't end up watching in the qualifying sessions. This time it wasn't due to work. Honestly, I kind of forgot it was on Friday. And I went to the store, looked at my phone, I was like, oh, qualifying happened. And then Saturday, I woke up in time to watch the sprint race. I set up late. I was up till like 5 a.m. working on videos. So, didn't manage to watch that. But there were some issues with tires throughout the weekend. So that became kind of a talking point, which really came to be a talking point going into Sunday's race. But first, the sprint. What are we going to say from the sprint? Brilliant race from Oscar Piastri. What the hell? Bruh, what is on my computer? Good thing I got this. Yeah, brilliant race from Oscar Piastri, honestly. Cool to see him get a sprint win. Of course, it doesn't count as an official Grand Prix win, but a win in Formula One, I guess, is what we'll go with. So, that was cool. Good to see. Of course, Max winning the championship. Basically, he had to get 3 points between now and the end of the season. So, it was pretty much guaranteed at some point in Qatar, and most likely in the sprint, that he would win. So, he did win when Checo got taken out in racing Esteban Ocon and Nico Hulkenberg for whatever spot that was, 10th, 11th. Paris had an awful weekend, which we'll get into him a little bit later on. But Max winning the championship, that was just brilliant. I was thrilled. Obviously, Max can't seem to win championships in a normal fashion, whether it's 2021 with the controversy that was there, or 2022 with nobody knowing if he won because the FIA doesn't know how to implement their rules. Plus Charles Leclerc getting a penalty. So all of that. So he kind of found out in the cool down room. Nobody knew when the race was ending in Japan last year. It's kind of crazy actually think because at this point, I was getting ready to watch that race because that was on October 9th. I was at my brother's apartment and I was staying there for the weekend. So I remember it was like, oh boy, we're a few hours away. It was 9? Almost 10 o'clock. I'm recording right now, so I was ready, getting ready. It's crazy that was a year ago. But staying up till, I think, 5 in the morning trying to get some items, merchandise. The website crashed then as it did this year. But, yeah, you had that, and then this year winning in the sprint, which I thought was hilarious that he won the sprint just because F1 kind of kept adding more sprints. I was all for sprints initially, but recently I've kind of been like, maybe I don't want more sprints. But seeing the fact that they said when it was coming out, we don't want to have too many sprints. We don't want somebody winning the championship on the sprint weekend or on the sprint Saturday. And then Max goes and does it 2 years after it comes out. As a rule, or as a racing setup. It's very interesting, for sure. But, we'll take it. 3rd consecutive championship. Not many drivers out there with 3 championships in Formula One. So, pretty impressive. I was thrilled when it happened. Obviously, kind of knew going into the weekend it was going to happen, but watching it take place, seeing the things pop up for champion, it's brilliant. I love it. Obviously, I don't think you can really get to that emotion and that excitement of the first time. Again, the first championship was the first championship. It holds a special place. But also just how intense that battle was throughout the year. So I don't think you can get to that. But this has a different meaning of just how dominant this season has been. I think that's where it holds a value there. So that was awesome to see. Loved it. But there's still more racing to go. So, on Sunday, it's Grand Prix day. It was kind of weird, I guess, going into the Grand Prix with the championship being won the day before. But going to the race, and basically the FIA said you can only do 18 laps on your tires no matter what it is. If you do more than 18, you're getting disqualified. You get a black flag and you're out. So if you had done 3 laps on your tires that you were racing and you used 3 laps on it in qualifying, you had to then do 3 less laps on those. So, you took those 3 laps, you had to do 3 less from the 18 total that you're allowed to do. Very weird rules, but Qatar, that track just has issues with the tires. Did in 2021, and it has once again in 2023. So we'll see what they do with that. But overall, that was an interesting part of the race, just sort of seeing that. There really wasn't much outside of that, besides obviously the first turn, where George Russell decides to once again be a problem on the track and took out his teammate, really hurt Mercedes there. So unfortunate to see. People are going to say it's on people want to say it's on Lewis Hamilton. I don't see it that way. I think that, Lewis sort of there on the outside, getting close to passing him. George Russell behind Max pulls out, and I feel like he kind of put Lewis in a spot to get taken out. And of course, George Russell's going to take somebody out because he just does. So, if anything, I feel like that one is on George Russell. But outside of that, the race really didn't have much going on. Very, very hot for the drivers. I mean, you've seen coming out of the race just how tired they were on the podium with Max, Oscar Piastri, and Lando Norris. You could just see how tired they all were. Definitely a hot one for everybody involved racing. And Logan Sargent didn't even complete the race. He was that tired from the heat. So, overall, solid weekend in Qatar. Max winning the championship, though. Really, really brilliant. I was able to get the shirt, get one of the hats. I didn't get the one that they had there to wear on the track. I would have liked to have the one that said Oracle Red Bull Racing on it, with a little string on the thing. I got the one from Max's website that was his own design championship thing. Maybe the other one will be available again at some point. But I mean, the website, I knew going into the weekend, I'm like, okay, Max got a chance to win the championship in the sprint race. Let's be ready. I had my computer ready. I had the website ready. So basically, right when they said Max is the champion, I turned my computer on. And I was, I had both my items, picked my shirt size, picked my hat, went to the cart. That's in the website, so started messing up. Everybody was on it. But fortunately, I was signed out of my account, so it held my cart for me. So I didn't really have to worry, but I was trying to get it through either way, and I managed to probably an hour later. So that was good. As for the other Red Bull driver, Checo, let's talk about him for a minute here before we jump to the NASCAR portion of our video. And oh boy, did Checo have a weekend. Track limit penalties and qualifying really, really hurt him in the Grand Prix. Qualifying and then the sprint. Similar things. He didn't start as far back, but being on medium tires hurt him on the start there. Most drivers that have medium tires fell back at the beginning. In the sprint, he fell back and crashing out. So, just overall bad weekend there. Going to the Grand Prix. He gets 3 track limit penalties in the race. So, loss of 15 seconds just on that. It was not a good weekend for Checo. He's got to get something picked up. Looking at the way that McLaren has been, they've scored more constructors' points in the last 3 races than Red Bull has. So Red Bull didn't lock down that championship or just wasn't as dominant. Especially at the start of the year. I mean, Checo wasn't as bad to start. I mean, he won 2 of the first 4. Of course, there were things and factors that led to that, especially Saudi Arabia. I mean, I think Max could have won that one, but there were factors in those. But still, he won 2 races. He's the only driver besides Max to win more than one this year. And only one of 3 drivers to win this year. But again, to be in the Red Bull car and have 2 wins when your teammate has 14? Why is there balloons on my screen? What was that? Let's go like that, and it worked? There's no way if I just go like that. That was weird. I didn't do anything. I mean, I got a message, but it was 7 minutes ago. But, yeah. It's one of those things that, actually, my brother right here were talking about it in messages. Basically the same thing, that Checo is not doing well performance-wise, and that if he doesn't step that up, Red Bull might not win Constructors' Championship next year, even if Max wins the Drivers' Championship. Even if he goes on the same form or the car is on similar pace, similar dominant fashion. You know, the RB20, if they make that car be as good as the RB19, I mean, does Red Bull win constructors? Last 3 races, they've been outscored by McLaren. I don't know. I think that you got to make a move, and I don't know if taking Checo out the car is necessarily it, but I wouldn't be against it. All right, on to the NASCAR side of it. So, I guess there's not really much to say for the Xfinity race. I kind of had some of the things that I was doing throughout the day, so I didn't really get to fully focus in on it. Sam Mayer was in the must-win situation and did win it. And that's pretty much what I got to say on that race. There's not really any moments that really stand out to me. But again, I was doing other things on that day. So, let's jump now to the Cup race. So, the Cup race, Charlotte Roval elimination day. Elimination for the round of 12 down to the round of 8 in the playoffs. First thing I got to say is I love Charlotte Roval. I'm glad it's still in the calendar. Brilliant to see. Second thing, the restart zone. I didn't like it. I wasn't a fan of it throughout it. I think the restart zone going through the normal part, the normal restart zone at Charlotte Motor Speedway, I think should be the restart zone. I think they tried it this year. You know, they wanted to avoid crashing. Of course, some of the situations that we've seen on road courses wasn't brilliant throughout the year, especially we've seen at Circuit of the Americas in the beginning of the season. So they tried to mess with some of the restart zones, especially Indy Road Course, which was also a mess. They messed with that a little bit. I think Indy Road Course, it wasn't as bad, but I think the Charlotte Roval, the fact of where the restart zone was, right? I think that Indy Road Course, you had a few turns, and then you started down a turn, but you're also going straight, and that's kind of a sweeping turn onto the straight. So it's a straight, sweeping turn, and you're going. So it's not like a sharp turn. This is like a weird 90-degree sneaking turn. So I don't think that's a great place to do a double file restart. So that was the one main thing that I really didn't like about it. But outside of that, I mean, the race didn't really have too much. I mean, there's like a moment that I'm like, damn, that was crazy. I mean, I liked it. I didn't think it was a bad race. I didn't have to mute it when Chase Elliott took the lead. That was a bit obnoxious, just how much they were, hyping him up for 20 laps about how he's the greatest driver of all time, and all that stuff. But outside of that, I mean, I think the race was good. I think that the weekend you had, excitement, who's going to eliminate, who's going to be in. I think with Tyler Reddick leading the first stage, that had an interesting element to it. I think Kyle Busch being close the whole time, he led a little bit. How was that, affecting things? Kyle Larson starting in the back was definitely an interesting factor as well. How would he come to the field? If he got damaged, there's a good chance Kyle Larson was going to be eliminated. Denny Hamlin advanced on points mid-race, and then proceeded to get crashed out, or crash out, or whatever happened. He got in a few incidents. He didn't have a brilliant Charlotte Roval weekend, but he had enough points going in from Talladega and from Texas to be up plus 50. He was able to lock himself in pretty much immediately. Have a good stage 1 and 2 and you're in. And that is what he had and what he needed. So, Ross Chastain, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, and Bubba Wallace are all eliminated. None of those are really shocking, I guess. Bubba Wallace was close at Texas. He could have got a win. That could have shook things up a little bit. But, I mean, outside of that, I'm not really surprised by any of the eliminations. Brad Keselowski didn't really have many playoff points coming in, so you're definitely at a disadvantage in that. Same Bubba Wallace. He had none. He didn't win a stage. He didn't win a race. He was one of the last ones in on points. So, he started 16th on the grid, and it shows when you have that spot, you're typically not getting past the round of 12. Just based on that. So, I think that starting that 16th spot is going to be hard. So, for him, getting to the round of 12 is pretty good, pretty impressive. I think that he can, maybe go further next year, maybe get a win or something, help him in points. That's really what you need. You got to get a win. Those stages are crucial throughout the year to build up some points. So, being as close as he was with 0 points to start the round was not bad. Kyle Busch hasn't had a great round. That was the main issue. I mean, he got 3 wins, but outside of those 3 wins, second half of the year, not brilliant. For him, Brad Keselowski, in a similar spot. He did very, very well on points, but he hasn't got a win this year. So, making the playoffs on points, brilliant. But again, he did not have the playoff points to help carry him through. And Ross Chastain just hasn't had a great season. He had that one Nashville win, but outside of that, he hasn't really done much. He started off strong, but kind of after the Darlington issue, he kind of dropped some aggressiveness after him and Kyle Larson had their run-in, and that kind of just dropped him off from there. AJ Allmendinger, though, did get the win, which, that's cool to see. Cool to see a team that doesn't necessarily, get as many wins. They're a newer team, get their second win as a team, and AJ Allmendinger's third career win. So that's cool. I think that talking about him staying in Cup or going back to Xfinity, that's a topic that he gets asked pretty much every week. I think this helps him with staying in the Cup Series. But either way, thank you for watching. Next week, we'll be discussing Las Vegas. I believe all 3 series are in Las Vegas. Maybe? I don't know. We'll see you guys next week, though, for the Racing Debrief as we discuss Las Vegas. Our final moment here for this video. Of course, a lot of it has been Kevin Harvick retirement themed. From the hat that I'm wearing to going to the NASCAR race in New Hampshire to see him race one last time to the 29 Busch Light car review. To end it off is the Racing Debrief from his final race and discussing the emotions of that day and the emotions of that moment. And just giving a breakdown of that. Of course, it was Ryan Blaney's championship race as well. So there's a discussion of that in the video. But the last last 10 minutes of that video were really the emotional part of that. So let's take a look at that. Hello and welcome to today's video. Today's episode of the Racing Debrief. And here we are. It's the final NASCAR portion of the Racing Debrief here in 2023. It's been a fun ride doing this series for a good amount of the season, honestly. I believe we started in about March, so good amount of the year. So, that's kind of the spot we're at. So let's discuss both F1 and NASCAR races from the week. Let's start with F1. We'll start with Brazil, the Brazilian Grand Prix, or Sao Paulo Grand Prix, whatever you want to call it. Nobody really didn't call it the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, let's be honest. Yeah, we've seen another Max win in both the sprint in the actual race. So he's up to another 5 race win streak already, which is pretty awesome. 17th win on the season. I've loved that. That's been cool. We'll start with qualifying a little bit before we dive into a little bit of the race, just to touch on how wild that storm was at the end of that. Just crazy to see the conditions go from super bright and sunny to the most dark clouds I've ever seen. It literally made the track night. Just very interesting conditions. Set up for an interesting grid as well. With Max and Charles Leclerc on the front row, followed by Lance Stroll in third. But didn't stay like that for long. Go to the sprint. And Max easily took the lead on that one. Sprint was kind of just boring. I mean, the sprints are kind of just whatever. They're not really beneficial. We jump ahead to the race itself. That had a little bit of interesting moments to it. Charles Leclerc's car said no, basically at the start of the race in the formation lap, and he basically said everybody, why I have such bad luck, and that's genuinely a question to ask. I mean, every single thing that can go wrong for him typically does. So I got no idea. You got to feel for him on that. Just disappointing for him going out like that. At the start, you had Alex Albon and Kevin Magnussen crash into each other. Albon was kind of hit by Hülkenberg into Magnussen. They both went spinning off the track into the barriers. We had a red flag. Tires flew off of it, off the cars, and hit Daniel Ricciardo's rear wing, and Oscar Piastri in the backup. So both of them had wing damage. They were about to retire. Went in the garage. Their teams did some work on the cars for them. Got them back in the race. They were non-factors after that. But again, it set up an interesting start, because that was kind of the real start of the race. At that point, you got to the the top spots, whatever. What am I saying? My mind is definitely not on this this part of the video, I'll be honest. They started it. Max got away pretty much right at the start. Lando made a challenge at him for a little bit, but Max pretty much pulled away from there. You had both Alfa Romeos go out of the race, so more issues there with some of the the thing. Oh my god. Out of the race. Ferrari engines struggled, I guess. Looking at other things from, of course, the end, Alonso and Checo having that battle. That was brilliant. That was a great part of the race to watch. That was like 10, 15 laps. Checo finally got by. Kind of threw in a corner. Right after the start line. Through with that first turn. That allowed Alonso to get DRS on him and actually have the lead over him for third place. Going to the finish of the race. And super, super close finish. Was it 0.05 of a second? So, I mean, they were right there. But Alonso back on the podium, so there's that. All right, let's jump into the NASCAR part. My mind's definitely on the end of this video. So, yeah, I do apologize. It's a little bit all over the place, but yeah. So NASCAR, we're going to start with the Truck Series. Of course, that race was a disaster. It was pretty obnoxious to watch, I'd say. Just having everybody crash into each other. Carson Hocevar getting into Corey Heim. I genuinely believe Hocevar didn't do it on purpose. I really think he didn't. But again, Hocevar's got this history that is getting into people. So it's one of those things where nobody's going to necessarily believe him if he says, I didn't do it on purpose. Even if he didn't, I think his reaction in the car or in the truck, you could tell he didn't mean to do it. And I think mentally he was just done from there. I mean, the next restart, he dropped from like 4th to 18th, and it was just out of it. Race goes on. Green Am gets towards the front. He's leading championship. There's about, 10, 15 to go. Corey Heim knows he's not going to win it, and he just decides to take Hocevar out. And I felt that was a ridiculous move. I think that it's not going to help Corey Heim get fans or get respect on the track. I think what you've seen from him and from that situation, it was a bad look. It was genuinely a bad look. You could have definitely taken the spot, been the better man in the situation, just said, I'm going to talk to him after the race. To sit and kind of fall back intentionally and wait to put him in the wall is a very low move. I think it's one of those plays that it's not going to look good. I think he's going to regret that eventually, someday. But I think that that's just not an acceptable move. I found that to be worse than what Hocevar did. I think what Hocevar did was wrong. In the situation, you gotta just go a little easier. But again, I don't think he did it on purpose. But I think what Corey Heim did definitely is on purpose. Of course, he's gonna not say it, but he said it over the radio. There's clips of him saying he's gonna, Carson Hocevar is not getting out of here, whatever. So to do that move, not cool. And it also cost Grant Einfink winning the championship. He would have won it. Ben Rhodes got in a spot to get ahead of him. So, yeah, it's just not a move to make. So Ben Rhodes wins the truck championship. It's what you get with this format. We're going to talk more about the playoff format at the end of discussing all 3 days, but that's what you get. Ben Rhodes is not anywhere near the best statistical driver in the season, but he won the championship. Moving ahead to Xfinity, a little bit more tame. Still a very, very good race. I really enjoyed it. I think that the truck race was not super enjoyable when you had 3 or 4 overtime restarts. I think that was just dumb. The Xfinity race, that was enjoyable. You had good battle between the championship drivers. It was definitely Cole Custer, John Hunter Nemechek. They were the best two in that, and Cole Custer ended up winning it in the end. Little disappointed John Hunter Nemechek didn't get that win. Pretty much all the drivers that I wanted to win the championship in 2 of the 3 races came second. And in that one, would have came second if he didn't get some contact. John Hunter Nemechek got contact, got a flat tire, crashed out towards the end of it. The last lap he crashed. But Cole Custer won it. I mean, Stewart Haas getting a championship is the first time that they've ever gotten an Xfinity championship, and Stewart Haas as a team hasn't won a NASCAR championship since Kevin Harvick did in 2014. So, cool to see them get a championship. I would have definitely liked to see John Hunter Nemechek get it, but Cole Custer got it. And, driver that wasn't the best in any statistical categories pretty much got the championship. So, playoffs killing it this year. Which is really, really good after, especially what the truck championship showed. But again, just with, I believe it was Steve Phelps who said that the playoffs rewards the best drivers and whatever. It's not gimmicky or something like that. And then to have the drivers who weren't the best win the championships and end up like it did was a little bit unfortunate. So we skip ahead now to the Cup Series race. And in that, it had solid action. Again, I think that there's improvement to be made with the next-gen car on, shorter tracks. I wouldn't necessarily put Phoenix as a short track, but it's not a mile and a half. It's in a weird category. Phoenix, New Hampshire, Gateway. They're kind of in a strange spot where they're not short tracks, but they're not intermediates. They're just there. But they run the same short track package, so lump them into that group. Again, the racing that you see at the tracks like Martinsville, Bristol, North Wilkesboro, Richmond, New Hampshire, Phoenix, Gateway, probably what we're going to see at Iowa next year. The cars just don't have that performance, that ability yet. It's getting closer, but it's still not where you want it for competitiveness on those tracks. And I think that's hurt the championship at Phoenix more than anything. I think that the championship at Phoenix could be cats doing their thing. It could be a viable track eventually for a championship. But are we going to let it get there? That's the part that I think is interesting to see. But again, the race is solid. William Byron was ahead for a good amount of it. In the championship 4, he led a good amount of race laps. I think the whole first stage he led. Kevin Harvick had the lead for a little bit. Chris Buescher had the lead. But then Ross Chastain just pretty much dominated it after end of stage 2. Christopher Bell was out pretty early with a brake rotor exploding. Cut a tire, put him in the wall. One of the rare times you see the Cup drivers in the Championship 4 crash or have an issue of that magnitude. Of course, you've had little issues, but being crashed out, you don't typically see that. 2016, Carl Edwards crashed out, and 2022, Chase Elliott crashed. He got spun by Ross Chastain, and then this year, Christopher Bell having that. But typically, you don't see many issues like that. You see it a little bit in the trucks and Xfinity, but not as much in the Cup Series. So that was kind of surprising to see Christopher Bell go out like that. So then it became the Championship 3, as they were saying in the broadcast for a good amount of it. And there, you've seen Ryan Blaney just look like he had that good car, and Kyle Larson really didn't. Kyle Larson was chilling, kind of third of all of them. Pretty much the whole time he was third best. Second or third best, but typically third. Ryan Blaney just had that spot over him, had that position. And he got it when it mattered. He had a late caution that put Kyle Larson, jumped him from third of them up to first, and he just couldn't hold off Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney won the championship. So I thought overall it was a solid race. It was an interesting race. But I think this year really highlights the lack of the best driver winning the championship. I think that racing having a full season format is what you need. You have it in F1, you have it in IndyCar. Whoever scores the most points throughout the season in that series wins. Now, you can make an argument it's not as exciting. Like, okay, we talk about F1 on this channel. Obviously, I'm big in F1. Max Verstappen is my favorite driver. Max Verstappen won with 6 races to go. Is it necessarily exciting in F1 to watch Qatar, US, Mexico, Brazil, Las Vegas, and Abu Dhabi knowing who won the championship? Maybe not. Then you have to look for other storylines. Who's going to finish second? Constructors. Who's going to finish second? Who's going to finish third? All right, whatever. But at the end of the day that the best driver won, right? Because if you make it a one-race playoff, say F1 had that, Max went to Abu Dhabi and didn't win, and Checo somehow finished ahead of him, Checo was the champion for the year, would you say that's the most deserving driver? You wouldn't. So, obviously there's a difference in F1 where lots of times you have one driver dominate, one team dominate, right? You see that pretty much. Look at the last, since 2010, you've had 2 teams and 4 drivers, right? Mercedes or Red Bull, Sebastian Vettel, Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg, right? So, it's a little different when you look at NASCAR where there hasn't necessarily been that domination, and honestly, looking at consecutive championships is not that frequent. Even, you know, looking at a full season format, it's not common, right? Looking at a full season format, the most in a row ever has been 3. And typically, you had a few drivers get 2, right? But not normally is it common to have multiple championships in a row. So, it is a little bit different in that aspect. There's more drivers, there's more competition. But at the end of the day, to go in and say your best driver won, I don't think any of the 3 series can say that. Looking at a full season points, Corey Heim should have won in trucks. Looking at a full season point, John Hunter Nemechek should have won in Xfinity. I didn't see who it is for Cup, but I believe it should be Denny Hamlin. Thinking back to what it was before, I think Denny Hamlin was just behind Christopher Bell in what would have been a full season point format. So, there you go. Alright, and now it's time to come to the end of this video. The part that is the most difficult. I discussed it at the end of the last video. Kevin Harvick retiring. It's a difficult thing. I've had, drivers I've liked retire. Top 2 favorite, Tony Stewart. I was always a fan of Tony Stewart. When he retired, it was not as emotional as this, though. Again, I've always said in the videos, Kevin Harvick and Tony Stewart, my favorite 2 drivers. And again, Tony Stewart retired. It was one of those things that it was emotional for me, but on a different thing, a different level, right? I've liked both the drivers forever, and when he retired, it was definitely one of the things that was like, it was sad, but it was definitely like, okay, that's gonna happen. It's probably time to retire. And definitely one of the things I was a fan of him when I was younger, so I didn't really have that same understanding of liking a driver that I do now, and that impact, right? And Kevin Hart's the driver I've been a fan of as long as I can remember. Again, if you've seen me on social media, that's not YouTube. This. Let me see if I can find where's this image at? It's gotta be somewhere in here. Nope. That's not it. This picture, if you guys have seen it, before, that's from 2001. So I've always been a fan of Kevin Harvick. Again, it just feels different. When you sit and say who's your favorite all-time driver, it's Kevin Harvick. 60 wins, 2014 championship. It was emotional, especially the last few weeks leading up to it. Seeing some of the cool things early in the year, it didn't hit the same, right? It was like, okay, this is going to happen. He's going to retire at the end of the year. There's rumors that he wanted to after 2021. Um, yeah, it's just something that I don't know how to put into words the meaning of what it meant to watch him race every week. Um, how special those races were, and looking back at those moments, those races that he won throughout the years. Again, I the first one that I really remember is 2007 Daytona. That's one that I remember. Um, so yeah, it's been a good run. For me, the most special moment is the 2014 championship. I think for people it's between 2014 and his first win at Atlanta. Again, I was too little to remember that. Probably watched it, but I was 2. So, 2014 championship. Is a special moment, and I'm looking at the picture right here. Back when they had the NASCAR Illustrated magazine, if you guys ever remember that, they used to give little fold out posters in it. And this one's Kevin Harvick, 2014 NASCAR Sprint Cup champion, with a few pictures on it. And that's a special moment there. So seeing that Budweiser car come back, that was probably the first time that I was like genuinely emotional about it. Seeing that 29 car on track with that throwback paint scheme to 2001. It was cool. It was cool to see because, again, I was too young to really remember seeing it on track. So that was cool, but it didn't have necessarily that emotion level specifically for me. I'm sure for a lot of people it did, but it didn't for me because I was so young. I just thought it was so awesome that they recreated that. But seeing that Budweiser one, it was a little emotional. And, yeah. So there was that. And then just last week discussing he's going to retire and how emotional that was. Throughout the week, there was a little bit of an emotional moments, but it really hit when we did the post-race interview. I mean, I'd seen that, and I knew it was coming. And I was like, that's going to be the moment that's going to get me. And it did. But, you got to let out that emotion, that moment. And that's when it just did. So, yeah. I don't know. It's going to be weird going into next year. But I don't know. Every driver retires eventually, so just got to enjoy the moments when they're here. So those special moments to look back and get back and enjoy. So yeah, just thankful to be able to enjoy those moments of watching Kevin Harvick race, and just thankful for that, and glad to have been a fan. So that's that. Alright, so that is our video. That's our Diecast review and racing debrief video. It was a long one, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys in the next one.